Chapter 421. Sima Yue did not notice what Wu Lingyu was doing, because she had been tidying up her things in her room ever since she came back. Alchemy, weapon refinement, mental energy enhancement, she chose a few of them. She called Fatty Chu and the others to copy a few copies, and gave them to Sima Tai. Sima Tai and the rest were shocked when they saw what Sima Yue brought over. When she said that, they didn't think that she would bring so many books. They all thought that 1 or 2 books of each type would be enough. What they didn't know was that Sima Yue had only chosen the low-level ones. She didn't even dare to take out the high-level ones, as she was afraid that it would bring trouble to her family. Sima Yue then returned to her own house. This time, she even called Sima Yulin over. Wu Lingyu stood outside the door and looked at the tightly shut door. He secretly hated himself for not knowing how to set up formations, which gave this kid an opportunity to take advantage of. After Sima Yue called Sima Yulin into the house, she took out an array blueprint and handed it to him. Sima Yulin took the array and looked at it. He immediately stared at her with wide eyes, filled with shock and doubt. This is a formation that senior brother obtained by chance. I've studied it for 2 days, but I still can't figure it out. That's why I asked you to study it with me. Sima Yue said. I didn't expect that you would be able to obtain a long-lost array like the Spirit Gathering Array. This is really too shocking. Sima Yulin said excitedly. If we can research this array, we'll be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort in the future. I think so too. Sima Yue said. Our abilities are weaker than the others now. If we can use the Spirit Gathering Array to make the Spirit Chi thicker, we will be able to catch up with them in no time. But you haven't even figured it out. Should we take this to grandfather to have a look? Sima Yulin asked. I'm almost done, but this Spirit Gathering Array can't be set up with ordinary array stones. So I want you to help me. It won't be too late to tell them when we can figure it out. Otherwise, if we fail in the end, they will be happy for nothing. Sima Yue said. That's fine too. Sima Yulin said. Let's give it a try first. What can I do for you? Didn't you get some spirit gathering stones in the little realm? It will only work if you use this to arrange the spirit gathering pearls. Sima Yue said. Then let's find a place to test it out. Sima Yulin was eager to try. It's best to find a spacious place, Sima Yue said. I know a place. Let's go and try. Sima Yulin said. All right. Sima Yue opened the door and saw Wu Lingyu standing outside. Where are you going? Wu Lingyu pretended not to care as he asked, but his eyes kept drifting towards Sima Yulin. To set up the formation, Sima Yue answered. I'll go too. Wu Lingyu waved her fan and said, I have nothing to do anyway. Up to you. Sima Yue said as she walked outside, and Wu Lingyu followed her. Sima Yulin looked at Wu Lingyu with a deep gaze, and no one knew what he was thinking. Sima Yue and the other 2 came to the backyard. There was a large hall that was 100 meters wide, and no one knew what the Zhang clan had built it for. When they entered, there was no one inside. Sima Yue and Sima Yue started to arrange the spirit gathering stones according to the blueprint, and started to arrange them according to the arrangement. Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yue was busy, and lowered her head to calculate with Sima Yue. She watched quietly from the side, not bothering to disturb them at all. Sima Yue and Sima Yue spent an entire day arranging the spirit gathering stones, but it was useless. They had no choice but to dismantle everything and start over again. The second time, they spent another day, but it was still a failure. The third time, they spent close to 2 days, and the array was half complete. The array pattern shone halfway before it disappeared, indicating that they had failed. On the 4th time, they spent 2 days before they finally succeeded. The array pattern finally completed 1 round, and as the light slowly entered the array pattern, the surrounding spirit chi started to gather. It's done. Sima Yue closed her eyes to feel it, and said happily when she opened them. We actually succeeded. Sima Yue was excited as well, and looked at Sima Yue with shining eyes. Wu Lingyu also felt the change in the spirit chi in the air, and raised her eyebrows. She didn't think that they would really succeed. Sima Yue started to test the effects of the array after her initial joy. She furrowed her eyebrows, saying, "Although the spirit chi is flowing here, it's too slow. It's only improved a little after such a long time. It's impossible for everyone to cultivate here for a long time." Sima Yue had an idea and took out the spirit gathering pearl, saying, "What if we add this?" "This is the spirit gathering pearl?" Sima Yue asked as she looked at the jade green pearl. Sima Yue nodded, saying, "If we add this into the array, let's see if there'll be any effect." Okay. As such, the two of them dismantled the array that they had set up and began to calculate how to put the spirit gathering pearl in. Half a month later, Sima Tai and a few other elders were invited here. The moment they entered, they felt that this place was different from the outside. "What dense spirit chi?" Elder Hu said in shock. "It's much denser than other places." Elder Sang said as well. Sima Tai looked at Sima Yue asking, "What did you do here?" "We made a spirit gathering array and can absorb the surrounding spirit chi here, making it denser." Sima Yue said, "This effect is not bad." "We calculated that this place can barely allow 3 people to cultivate at the same time. It's that powerful." Elder Hu looked at Sima Yue in shock. "You can feel it, right?" Sima Yue said. "That's right." Sima Tai sensed it carefully. "What plans do you have for this place?" "I'm thinking of using this place as a secret place for the clan to cultivate and reward those who have contributed to the clan. We can also let the clan's disciples take turns to cultivate here." Sima Yue said. "However, as for how to implement it, we'll have to discuss it with the clan and the elders." "Clan leader, this is an important matter. Before we reach a conclusion, let's not tell everyone about this." Elder Sang said. "Okay, we'll go back and discuss it now. Yu Yang, go and inform the other elders to head to the discussion hall immediately." Sima Tai said, then looked at Sima Yue and Sima Yue, saying, "You definitely won't go. Yulin, come with us." "Yes, clan leader." Sima Yue left with Sima Tai and the others. Only Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu were left in the house. The two of them slowly walked towards her courtyard. "If there's a day, will you do so much for me?" he asked as if he had some thoughts. Sima Yue turned her head to look at Wu Lingyu and thought for a while, saying, "You're my senior. If you have something for me to do, I'll definitely do my best." Just do her best. Chapter 422. Sima Yue felt a little strange when she saw his gloomy eyes. However, she could not tell what was wrong, so she decided to ignore it. However, she still changed her words and said, "Since you're my senior brother, I'll do my best." The knot in Wu Lingyu's heart disappeared after hearing her words. He was a little special in her heart, so he could leave with peace of mind. "I'm leaving," he said. Sima Yue stopped in her tracks and looked at him in surprise. "You're leaving? Why so sudden?" "It's not sudden. It's just that I didn't tell you because you've been busy with the array lately," Wu Lingyu said. He didn't know what was wrong with that damned old man these past 2 days. He had been anxiously calling him back. Although he really wanted to stay by her side, if he attracted that old man's attention, it would bring her trouble. In the future, you are not allowed to reveal your identity as a woman in front of others, especially in front of people from the Sage Pavilion. "Why? Do you know something?" Sima Yue looked at him. She guessed that he didn't just dislike her cross-dressing in front of others. "It doesn't matter if I tell you now," Wu Lingyu said. 10,000 years ago, the Sage Pavilion left behind a sentence. Female spirit masters with more than 4 attributes would be able to topple the Sage Pavilion. That was why the Sage Pavilion had been searching for such a woman all these years. Once they found her, they would immediately kill her. They would rather kill 10,000 innocents by mistake than let one escape. Many women have already been killed this year. Sima Yue's heart skipped a beat. Was this the reason why her father wanted her to disguise as a man? "I think it's because of this that your father allowed you to dress as a man. Although you're in the lower realm, the Sage Pavilion is different from the other sections. They have subordinate pavilions in most of the continents. No matter where it is, as long as it's a girl like this, she will meet the same fate. Wu Lingyu said, "It's a good thing that you've eliminated the power of the Sage Pavilion. Otherwise, even if you didn't do anything, I wouldn't have let them live." Sima Yue looked at Wu Lingyu and knew that what he said was true. If she did not destroy the Sage Pavilion before she changed into female clothing, he would definitely help her get rid of this hidden danger before he left, even though no one knew that she was an all-elemental spiritualist. I understand. She understood the importance of this. If she did not have the power to fight with the Sage Pavilion, she would not be able to change back into female clothing. But how do you know I'm the one you're looking for? You were too young at that time and didn't know how to hide yourself. Wu Lingyu said, "Although you didn't use it, you couldn't hide it from me." "Dog knows," she muttered softly. "When you return to the valley, you don't have to worry about it anymore." You can wear whatever you want. But as long as you don't go back, you can't change into female clothes. Do you understand? "Got it, housekeeper." She said the last 3 words very softly. This guy was really long-winded. Wu Lingyu felt the fluctuation from the spatial ring, and his eyes flashed with impatience and disgust. He reached out and ruffled her hair, saying, "I'm leaving. Don't be lazy and come up early. Remember to take the spirit fluid on time. If something like last time happens again, even Mo Shao won't be able to save you." Sima Yue reminded. "Okay." Wu Lingyu took out a piece of jade and let Sima Yue drip a drop of blood on it. Then he dripped a drop himself, so that it would be easier for him to find her location in the future. Sima Yue looked at this piece of jade. It looked a little different from the one in her hand, but it could also be used to locate her. Wu Lingyu kept the stone and opened a passage. Taking advantage of the fact that there was no one around, he hugged her and kissed her on the lips, saying, "Woman, your heart can only have me." Seeing the anger in her eyes, he smiled satisfactorily and entered the passage before she flipped out, leaving this continent. "Woman, your sister." Sima Yue was free and cursed at the spatial ring. This guy actually took advantage of her again. It was this trick again. It was the same feeling of helplessness. "You better not let me surpass you one day, or else I'll strip you naked and throw you on the streets." Despicable. Despicable. On the other side of the passage, Wu Lingyu walked out of the void and called out Fire Qilin to rush towards the Sage Pavilion. Feeling the fluctuation from the spatial ring again, he smiled faintly, saying, "Do you think I should take action earlier? This guy is getting more and more annoying. If it wasn't for him, he would still be by Yoyue's side." "The time isn't right yet." Fire Qilin replied faintly. Wu Lingyu looked at the sky, saying, "How frustrating. Sai, let's go back and see what happened. Then we'll go back to the Divine Devil Valley to prevent that old guy from worrying." Sima Yue cursed as she returned to the courtyard. The Sima family members didn't dare to go up and greet her when they saw her black face. The air pressure was too low. Whoever provoked her might just cause a storm. Even Bei Gong Tang and the rest didn't dare to ask her what happened when they saw her. "Where's your senior brother?" "He went back." Sima Yue said hatefully. "It's best if he doesn't see me, otherwise I'll definitely." She didn't say what she would definitely do, but when they saw that the cup she just grabbed was crushed, they knew that Wu Lingyu must have provoked her again. The spirit gathering array has already been set up. Let's see how the clan will arrange it. Everyone cultivate well. We'll try to get up there as soon as possible. She crushed the broken shards into powder and returned to her own house. "I feel that Yue is a little strange," Fatty Chu said. "What's so strange about it?" Bei Gong Tang said. "Let's all go back and cultivate. Otherwise, if Yue goes up there, we can only stay here." After she finished speaking, she returned to her own courtyard to cultivate. Wei Ziqi and the others also understood that Sima Yue wouldn't wait for them for too long. If they wanted to go up with her, they would have to work hard to keep up with her pace. Very quickly, the clan decided to transform the place into 3 small houses. In the future, one person would enter each house to cultivate. One house would be a reward from the clan, one house would be reserved for talented juniors, and the last house would be used by the rest of the clan. Initially, they had planned to give one house to Sima Yue, but she rejected it. With the spirit pagoda, it would be more effective than cultivating here. Later on, Sima Yue went into closed-door cultivation, bringing along a large group of geniuses. Sima Yu Yang and the others came together, as well as Sima Yu Lu, Sima Lai, Sang Mu Yu and the others. As long as they had entered the spirit pagoda, they went into closed-door cultivation. Their eyes were set on the primordial lands, determined to go up there. That was why they didn't care about the clan's affairs, and focused on cultivating. A year passed in a flash, and 10 years had passed in the spirit pagoda. Chapter 423. Crackle. A bolt of lightning as thick as a water bucket struck down. The commotion shocked the citizens of Mo City, and they all looked towards the outside of the city. Is there a super mythical beast that has transformed? Such a huge commotion, it's definitely not a natural phenomenon. Those are tribulation clouds. Someone recognized the unusual dark clouds. Could there really be a sacred beast transforming? I was fortunate enough to see a sacred beast transform. The color of that tribulation cloud was different from this one. If it's not the transformation of a sacred beast, what else could cause such a huge tribulation cloud? Look at the lightning bolt that struck down just now. It's even thicker than a bucket. This is only the first bolt of lightning. We'll know later. When the first bolt of lightning struck, they didn't notice it. When they came over to watch, they only saw the mountains, and didn't see the target of the tribulation. Sima Yi was currently in the valley grimacing in pain. Why didn't anyone tell her that there would be a lightning tribulation when she advanced to the divine realm? She had just advanced in rank, and before she could celebrate, she saw dark clouds rapidly gathering above her head. The sound of electric current between the clouds made Sima Yu's heart tremble. Lightning tribulation. Although there would be a huge commotion when others advanced to the god realm, no one had ever heard of anyone having a lightning tribulation. Why did she have one? She was not a sacred beast that needed to transform. Although she didn't know the reason, she quickly made the decision to call everyone out of the spirit pagoda, to prevent them from being trapped in the spirit pagoda. When Wei Ziqi and the rest came out, they were rather shocked to see the tribulation clouds. Get out of here, Sima Yue shouted at them. We'll stay with you, Sima Yue said. No, if there are outsiders around, the level of the lightning will increase. Sima Yue said. If you guys are here, it will only make the lightning stronger. Alright, hurry up and leave. Sima Yue and the others raised their heads, and saw that the dark clouds had indeed grown larger. So they hurriedly left. The tribulation cloud seemed to have sensed it, and dissipated a little. Sima Yulin and the others, who had run outside, finally heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he didn't increase the intensity of the lightning tribulation. Otherwise, they would regret it to death. Sima Yue had never experienced a thunder tribulation before. She had only seen Chongming's transformation from afar. She did not know how to deal with it, so she could only call Chongming out. When Chongming saw the tribulation cloud, his body subconsciously trembled. It seemed that the transformation had left a lingering fear in his heart. What do you think of the power of the lightning punishment? Sima Yue asked. It's much smaller than mine. Chongming said. With your current strength and physical strength, it shouldn't be a problem. Then what should I do? This was her first time going through a lightning tribulation, so she had no experience at all. Don't worry. You just have to mobilize the spiritual energy in your body to resist it. An appropriate amount of lightning can also temper your body, Halcyon said. I know. Seeing that the lightning was about to strike, she quickly put away the Chongming. Pa! She had just mobilized her spirit chi to condense a layer of armor on her body when the first bolt of lightning struck down. The lightning struck her body directly, breaking the armor on her body and drilling into her body. The electric current flowed through her body from top to bottom, and that kind of pain felt like it was tearing her body apart. She took out a pill and swallowed it. Using her spirit chi to catalyze it, it took effect immediately. Although her body was in pain, she was still seriously injured. All these years, she had been using Imo Sha's method to train her body. The strength of her body was incomparable to that of an ordinary person. Even if Fatty Chu had been training his body since young, his body's strength could not be compared to hers. The first bolt of lightning is the weakest. Chongming felt the condition of her body and reminded her. Sima Yue raised her head to look at the tribulation cloud. Seeing that an even stronger bolt of lightning was about to form, she hurriedly mobilized the spiritual energy in her body to protect her body. Then, under everyone's shocked gazes, the moment the lightning struck, she rushed up to the sky and met the lightning in the air. Pa! A small part of the lightning's power was dissipated by her, and then another part was dissipated by her external defense. The rest of it drilled into her body. The spectators in Emo City had been paying attention to the person undergoing the tribulation. Seeing the person colliding with the lightning, they could not believe their eyes. There's actually someone undergoing the tribulation. How can a person undergo a lightning tribulation? It's too strange. Are you sure that's a person and not a sacred beast? How can it be a sacred beast? A sacred beast cannot transform into a human before the last bolt of lightning strikes. Only after the last bolt of lightning can they transform. Look, the lightning tribulation hasn't even ended yet. How can they transform? So you're saying that there's really someone undergoing the tribulation? The Yilan clan members all flew up to the sky. Seeing the person undergoing the tribulation, they were all shocked. That's young Master Yue. It's really Yue. Why is she undergoing the tribulation? What did she do to attract the lightning tribulation? Clan head, she's actually undergoing the lightning tribulation. Should we think of something? Elder He furrowed his eyebrows, his eyes filled with worry. We've never experienced the lightning tribulation before. How can we help? Sima Tai was not worried at all. He had absolute confidence in her. Let's go over and take a look. Elder Sang said. Let's go closer. Elderly said. The few of them, and the clan elders who were alarmed flew towards the mountains outside the city. They saw Sima Yulin and the others from afar. They were still wondering where these guys were in seclusion. It turned out that they were with Sima Yue. Sima Yulin and the others also saw Sima Tai and the others coming over and bowed to them. What's wrong with Yue? Why did she attract the lightning tribulation? Sima Tai asked. Yue has advanced to the divine rank. Then, just as she succeeded, the lightning tribulation appeared. Sima Yuqing explained. Advanced to the divine rank? Everyone was shocked by this news. Then they were filled with doubt. Why would there be a lightning tribulation when one advances to the divine rank? This didn't happen when we advanced to the divine rank. One of the elders who had advanced to the divine rank said. That's right. There was no such thing. Another divine elder agreed. But she only advanced by one rank. Sima Yulan said. It could be that Yoyua's body is different from ours. That's why the lightning tribulation appeared. Sima Tai guessed. I've heard the Yun clan leader say before that there are some people in the upper realms who would attract lightning tribulation when they advance in rank because of their cultivation methods. However, it was obvious that this was not the case for her. Sima Yue saw that Sima Tai and the others had come. However, she did not have the energy to look over, because she was preparing for the next lightning tribulation with all her might. This lightning tribulation took longer than the previous two lightning tribulations. The color of the tribulation cloud was also the darkest. She guessed that the power of this lightning tribulation would be many times stronger than the previous one. Zap dash, a 1-meter wide lightning bolt struck towards her in front of everyone's shocked and worried eyes. Sima Yue was struck. Her entire body was like a piece of charcoal. After the lightning passed, she fell to the ground, unable to get up. Her body flashed with electricity. Chapter 424. The tribulation cloud dispersed in satisfaction after striking Sima Yue. Everyone's lips twitched when they saw Sima Yue's charred body. There was not a single part of his body that was unscathed, and a faint meaty fragrance wafted through the air. If they hadn't sensed her life force, they would have thought that she had been struck to death by the last bolt of lightning. As a woman, this was too tragic. Cough cough, Yu Qing, go and help her tidy up, Sima Tai said. Although he said he was going to tidy her up, he was actually going to put a coat on her. No one dared to touch her in her current state. The sizzling electric current had yet to dissipate. Whoever went near her would probably be electrocuted as well. Sima Yulin had already taken out a set of clothes and walked over, gently covering Sima Yu's body. It's not good to just lie down in the open like this. Let's get her a tent, Wei Ziqi said. Hence, the few of them set up a tent around Sima Yue and covered her inside. Sima Tai and the others went back first after ascertaining that Sima Yu was fine, leaving only Sima Yu Qing and the others to take care of her. After the people of Mo City knew that it was the Yilin clan who had undergone the tribulation, they became even more curious about this family that had appeared out of nowhere. However, after the tribulation, everyone dispersed. Although Sima Yue had been lying on the ground, she was still conscious. She didn't faint and could feel every bit of pain. She had just been struck by lightning, and her body was completely out of her control. She could hear the sound of the electric current, and she could feel the electric current running around in her body. She even discovered that after the electric current circled around her body a few times, it actually ran into her dantian and landed on the opposite side of the dark spiritual energy. It actually successfully occupied a place. Could it be that he would be able to cultivate the power of lightning in the future? He had never heard of anyone who could increase their cultivation attribute after birth. However, when he thought about how other people would not be struck by lightning when they advanced to the divine level, he felt that it was not strange for such a cultivation attribute to appear. However, she felt that the lightning attribute's spiritual power began to challenge the darkness attribute after it had gained a firm foothold. She felt as if she could see two children glaring at each other, ready to fight at any time. Fortunately, the two of them didn't fight in the end. Otherwise, if the spiritual energy in his body became violent, he would be the one to suffer. Other than the lightning attribute in her body, Sima Yu also realized that after her body had been struck by lightning, it was much stronger than before. This time, she had been struck by lightning for a long time to refine her body. Although the process is very uncomfortable, the effect is not bad. Being struck by lightning was worth it, Sima Yu thought. But it really hurts. She lay on the ground for 10 days. Bei Gong Tang had wanted to move her to the bed, but the moment she touched her body, she was electrocuted. Sima Yue could not speak. She winked at them, telling them not to touch her. She couldn't control her body right now, nor could she control the spiritual energy in her body. The other spiritual energies were fine, but this lightning energy had just entered her body and was not under her control at all. It was flowing all over her body, and they would be electrocuted if they touched her. In these 10 days, Sima Yu's body was constantly being tempered by lightning. Just as it was healed, it came again and again, causing her to be in pain for 10 whole days. However, in these 10 days, she slowly felt the difference between the divine rank and the spirit rank. The spiritual energy in her body had all turned into spiritual energy when she advanced in rank. In the future, she would no longer cultivate by absorbing the spiritual energy in the air, but by increasing the spiritual energy in her body to increase her strength. However, she still had to learn how to cultivate properly in the future. Other than the changes in her body, she also realized that her sea of consciousness was different from before. Although the sea of consciousness was called the sea of consciousness in the past, it was just a blank area in the brain. However, she now realized that her sea of consciousness was a lot wider than before, and even her soul had become stronger. In the past few days, the part of her soul that she had lost because of her injuries had also recovered, and the memories of her second life had also been recalled. Shimin Yue. So, she really was Shimin Yue. the pain in her heart was uncontrollable. She closed her eyes, and tears fell uncontrollably. Bei Gongtang and Sima Yuqing came in, and saw that her hair was already wet with tears, and her gaze was different from before. Yue, what's wrong? Seeing her gaze and feeling the aura that was coming from her body, Bei Gongtang's heart ached. That aura was as if her world was about to be destroyed, and it was as if she wanted to destroy the heavens and the earth. Yue, are you feeling unwell? Sima Yuqing asked. Sima Yue closed her eyes, not wanting to speak. Bei Gongtang and Sima Yuqing didn't know what to do. Suddenly, a space tunnel opened in the tent, and Wu Lingyu walked out. Seeing the person who had suddenly appeared, Bei Gongtang was very calm, but Sima Yuqing's eyes widened in shock. Wu Lingyu looked at Sima Yue, who was lying on the ground, and then looked at the two people in the tent. He frowned, asking, "What's wrong?" Yue advanced to the divine rank, and then attracted a lightning tribulation, and was struck to this state. She lost control of her body, and it's already been 10 days. Bei Gongtang said. Wu Lingyu saw the tears in Sima Yue's eyes, and felt that her aura was different from before. His eyes were filled with doubt and heartache. However, he didn't say anything. He came to Sima Yue's side, squatted down, and directly stretched out a hand to grab her arm. "Be careful, she." They wanted to say that there was electricity in her body, but they realized that the electricity had no effect on him at all. Wu Lingyu checked for a moment, stood up, and formed a seal with both hands. A faint light emitted from his hands, and covered Sima Yue's body, wave after wave. After a while, Sima Yue felt that the electricity had returned to her dantian, and she could slowly control her body. Wu Lingyu retracted his power, and Sima Yue regained her freedom. "Yue, are you alright?" Sima Yuqing looked at her happily. This Wu Lingyu was pretty powerful. He was able to heal her body just like that. Sima Yue didn't reply to her, and didn't care that she was only wearing a piece of clothing, and that her body was still covered with charred black flesh. Instead, she stretched out a hand to wipe the tears from the corner of her eyes. However, no matter how she wiped, the tears wouldn't stop. Those indelible memories, the pain and hatred that came from the depths of her soul, almost caused her to break down. "Yue, what's going on? Did something happen to your body?" Sima Yuqing said worriedly. That anxious voice attracted the attention of those outside. "Fifth bro, what's wrong?" Sima Yue saw Sima Yue like this, and asked with heartache. They had never seen her like this before. In the past, she was sly and domineering, and occasionally a rogue, but she was always full of vitality. But now, she was curled up like a child who had done something wrong, crying non-stop. How did she suddenly become like this? Chapter 425. Seeing Sima Yue like this, everyone panicked. Was there something wrong with her body? Could it be that she couldn't cultivate anymore? But from the looks of it, that didn't seem to be the case. If she really couldn't cultivate, she wouldn't be crying like she was now. Instead, she would be determined to find a solution. Sima Yue raised her head and glanced at them before shifting her gaze to Wu Lingyu. Wu Lingyu didn't know why she was like this, but he still understood what she meant. He opened up a path and then went forward to pick her up. He was careful not to let her clothes slip off, then stepped into the path and left. Where did he take Yue? Seeing the tunnel close, the Sima family came back to their senses. Yue, what's wrong with her? No matter how they guessed, they couldn't figure it out. Yulin, where did that guy take you? Sima Yuyang asked. Sima Yulin glanced at him, saying, "You're asking me, but who am I supposed to ask?" However, this was Yue's idea. I think she just wanted some peace and quiet, so she asked Wu Lingyu to take her away. Maybe he'll be back in a few days. Wei Ziqi and the rest looked at Bei Gongtang. She was usually closer to Sima Yue, so maybe she knew something. Bei Gongtang shook her head, saying, "I think that she might have thought of something." Little Roar kept saying that he and Yue had made a contract in her past life, but Yue doesn't have any memories of that. This meant that she had forgotten many of her memories. Maybe she remembered something from the past. If that's really the case, what did she experience in her past life to actually make her like this? Fatty Chu sighed. Bei Gong Tang could not guess this either. Let's head back to the clan first. Sima Yulin said. If he comes back, he should head straight to the clan. There's no point in us waiting here. Third bro. Sima Yula looked at Sima Yuran. He hadn't said a word since he came in. Let's go. Fifth bro will be fine. Sima Yuran said. I hope she comes back soon. Sima Yula sighed. He decided to go back and ask his grandfather to see if he knew anything. Sima Yua leaned into Wu Lingyu's arms, not knowing where he had brought her. Faced with everyone's concern, at that moment, she only wanted to escape. She didn't know why she chose to let Wu Lingyu take her away. Perhaps it was because he could open a spatial tunnel. After some time, Wu Lingyu's voice came from above. Do you want to tidy yourself up first? She looked up. It was a completely unfamiliar environment, but the scenery was very beautiful. Where is this? She leaned into his embrace and asked. My little realm. Wu Lingyu said. You can vent to your heart's content here. No one will see. You're not human? She wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and got down from his arms. She pulled at her clothes and looked around. Mountains and rivers were connected, birds chirped, flowers were fragrant, and spiritual energy was rich. It was a good place. How big is this? Her attention shifted to the little realm, and the grief in her heart was not so obvious. It's not big, Wu Lingyu replied. Seeing that she was better, it was not a waste to bring her here. Sima Yue knew that this kind of subsidiary little realm was similar to the spirit pagoda. However, this little realm could not be changed according to the owner's position, nor could it be controlled with one's thoughts. It was slightly worse than the spirit pagoda. However, this was also his independent space. He could do whatever he wanted. Weren't you in the primordial lands? How did you come here? Wu Lingyu took out the positioning stone that he had taken out before leaving. The entire jade stone had turned red. Your emotions were fluctuating greatly. It was very uncomfortable, so this turned blood red. Wu Lingyu said. She didn't know how panicked he was when he saw the change in the positioning stone. He was afraid that something had happened to her. So he immediately put down what he was doing and rushed over. The moment he saw her tears, he felt his heart ache. He really wanted to wipe her tears and comfort her. Seeing her pleading gaze, he knew that she wanted him to take her away. Feeling her trust in him, he was very happy. He thought about how to divert her attention, and finally decided to bring her here. Sima Yue had recovered her memories. Naturally, she would remember this kind of high-grade positioning stone. She didn't think that he would rush over because of her emotions, and even bring her here. When they met in her previous life, she didn't know that he was such a person. She lowered her eyes, hiding her emotions, and said, I want to wash up. Wu Lingyu reached out and hugged her. With a thought, they appeared in front of a building. Sima Yue was surprised and blurted out, You refined it? Only by refining the entire little world would he be able to control it as he pleased. After asking, she realized that she had said something that she shouldn't have. How could someone from the lower realm know about refining the little realm? Wu Lingyu's eyebrows jumped, but he didn't ask anything. He pointed to a room and said, That's the bathroom. Sima Yue pushed the door open and said before she closed the door, If I find out that you used the little realm to peek, I will definitely destroy this place. With that, she slammed the door shut. Wu Lingyu rubbed his nose. Was he such a wretched person? If he wanted to look, he would do it openly. Why would he do it secretly? Sima Yue saw that there was also a hot spring here. It was about the same size as the one she had. She took off her coat and threw it on the ground. She didn't know who this coat belonged to. It was big and long. Have I been reborn? She looked at the layer of dead flesh on her body. With a slight shake, it all fell off, revealing the smooth skin underneath. The charred dead skin looked disgusting. When she was covered in this kind of dead skin, how could Wu Lingyu still carry her in his arms without any change in expression? She went into the water and looked at the reflection of her face on the water surface. Tears gushed out, blurring her vision. Shimin Yue, father, mother, brother, how could I forget you all? How could I forget you all for so long? I'm sorry, she called Little Roar out. Seeing that little Roar's eyes were red, she hugged him in her arms. Little Roar, I'm sorry. I actually forgot about you. I'm sorry. He was her contracted beast. Because of the soul contract, he was lucky enough to survive. But when he woke up, he was faced with a master who didn't remember him. And because she didn't remember those things, the hatred of the extermination of her clan, the memories of watching her family die one by one, he couldn't tell her. He could only bear it alone. Master, you remember everything. Little Roar also shed tears. He was sad that Sima Yue regained her memories. He was also sad about the extermination of her clan. I remember everything. I remember everything. It's because of me. It's all because of me. Sima Yue caressed Little Roar and hugged him as she cried. Wu Lingyu stayed outside the door and didn't leave. When he heard the cries from inside, he frowned. Then he sighed and left. Chapter 426. When Wu Lingyu appeared again, it was already a few days later. Sima Yue was sitting on a rocking chair, hugging Little Roar and talking to him. Looking at her expression, she had already returned to her former self, but there was still a hidden sadness and hatred in her eyes. If you still don't show up, I'm going to tear this place apart. Sensing his presence, she said without raising her head. Isn't my place good? Wu Lingyu walked over. Good. It's too good. That's why I want to destroy it. Sima Yue said. Those medicinal herbs of yours are so precious. I'm so envious that I want to destroy them. If you want to destroy it, then so be it. As long as you're happy. Wu Lingyu said indifferently. Senior brother, you're really generous. She smiled, but unfortunately, there was no smile in her eyes. You're my only junior brother. If I'm not generous to you, who should I be generous to? Wu Lingyu said, have you recovered? Sima Yue lowered her head. A chill flashed across her eyes. Recover? How could she possibly recover? She was afraid that she would live in regret for the rest of her life. How long have I been here? When she raised her head again, she had already put away her emotions. She had spent the past few days in grief and regret. She would often be in a daze for a day or two. The sun did not rise or set here, so she did not know how long she had been here. Not too long, only about 10 days, Wu Lingyu said. Although he wasn't in the little world, this place was connected to him. He could clearly feel the changes in her mood. This was no different from the spirit pagoda. It's been more than 10 days. Sima Yue caressed Little Roar. Grandpa and the rest should be worried about me. Are you going back? Wu Lingyu asked. Let's wait a little longer. Sima Yue knew that they were worried about her, but she didn't know how to tell them about this when she returned. I went to find some books for you. Wu Lingyu didn't try to sway her decision, and took out a few books for her. These books contain cultivation methods, and things to take note of at the divine level and above, as well as some spiritual techniques. Sima Yue took the book and said, thank you. In her previous life, she had never thought that she would be so close to him one day. She would even become his junior, and become the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley. She remembered that the last time she met him, he was the high and mighty Holy Son, and she was the young miss of a family that was attached to a powerful force. At that time, she felt that although this fellow looked incomparably holy on the outside, he was not a gentle person on the inside. What are you thinking about? Wu Lingyu asked when he saw her staring at him in a daze. Nothing, Sima Yue said and changed the topic. Where did this come from? I went back to the valley to get it. Wu Lingyu said. I also went back to ask the old man about your situation. That's right, they definitely wouldn't have such basic cultivation books on them. If they wanted to find it for her, they would either have to return to the Sage Pavilion or the Divine Devil Valley. But what he didn't know was that she no longer needed these books. However, she still kept it. In the future, Bei Gong Tang and the others would need it. What did Master say? She asked. Master said that you cultivate both the light and dark attributes. Maybe he felt that it went against the heavens, so he struck you. Wu Lingyu said. But I'm more inclined towards Martial Uncle's explanation. The Great Valley Lord? What did he say? Sima Yue had always been curious about this great valley lord that she had never met before. Martial uncle said that people with great fortune are often blessed by the heavens. At the same time, they will also be treated specially by the heavens and set up tests. This lightning tribulation might be one of those tests. Wu Lingyu said, people with great fortune would have great trials. Back then, the ancestor of the Shiman clan had also said something like this. Maybe. Sima Yue didn't agree or deny it. Maybe she was struck by lightning because of a combination of these two reasons. This was something that no one could say for sure. Furthermore, she actually gained a lightning attribute spiritual energy after being struck by lightning. This could be considered as a blessing from the heavens. But martial uncle and master have one thing in common. Wu Lingyu said. What? Sima Yue looked at Wu Lingyu's expression and felt that this wasn't good news. They all said that since you attracted a lightning tribulation when you advanced to the divine rank, perhaps you will be struck by lightning every time you advance in the future. Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue pursed her lips. Struck by lightning every time she advanced in the realm? Did she have to be so miserable? Actually, this lightning tribulation has its benefits. Now you have a lightning attribute spiritual energy in your body. Wu Lingyu saw her sad expression and comforted her. Then why don't you try it? She rolled her eyes at him. This guy really didn't know what he was talking about. Even if there were benefits, the process would still be very painful, all right? Wu Lingyu saw that she was rolling her eyes at him and felt less worried. He sat beside her and said, Master said that since you've advanced to the divine rank, when do you plan to go up? It's still early, Sima Yue said. Yue, now that you've reached the divine rank, it'll be better for your cultivation if you go up. Although the spiritual energy in these continents is abundant, it's not as good as above. Also, when you return to the valley, you'll have more cultivation resources. Wu Lingyu said. I know, Sima Yue said, but now's not the time to go up. It's good that you don't go up. Recently, the Divine Devil Valley and the Cloud Cave are in a mess. You might encounter something if you go up, Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue thought of the time in the Little Realm when the Cloud Cave and the Sage Pavilion chased after the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan. They definitely didn't do it on the spur of the moment. They must have made the decision before they came in. Half a year, she said. Wu Lingyu was stunned and understood that she would go up in half a year. He said, then I'll come and get you in half a year. No need, Sima Yue said. Just give me a boundary compass. The boundary compass was the one that Old Man Devil had given her to enter the Little Realm. This thing could create a temporary passage for her to enter the primordial lands. Although this thing is rare, you should have it on you, right? Sima Yue saw that Wu Lingyu was silent and frowned. I really don't have it. Wu Lingyu shrugged. I'll send it down for you later. Okay. Sima Yue nodded. She didn't think that he could create a passage directly, so he naturally wouldn't have such a thing on him. You should have some unfinished business outside, right? If there's nothing else, you can leave first. After she finished speaking, she hugged Little Roar and closed her eyes. She hadn't completely adjusted her state of mind yet. She wanted to be alone and think about what would happen next. Now that she had regained her memories, her life would naturally change because she had more things to do. Zhongzheng Clan, Yinyang Palace. I will definitely make you pay with your blood. Chapter 427. After leaving for a month, Sima Yue returned to her family. Seeing her return, everyone's worried hearts finally relaxed. I'm sorry for making everyone worried. Sima Yue smiled apologetically at everyone. It's good that you're fine, Sima Yulin said. Everyone had a tacit understanding not to ask her where she had gone or why she had lost control. They were just happy that she had returned. However, their happiness was soon dampened because she said, I will leave here in half a year and go to the primordial lands. She was leaving, which meant that he might not be able to see her for many years, perhaps for a lifetime. After Sima Yue made her decision, she returned to her courtyard, leaving behind a group of people with different thoughts. The reason she said this was to let everyone be mentally prepared for her departure. The other reason was to tell those who wanted to follow her to cultivate well. She would not wait for them. She would not take them away until she reached the God level. Because of this, Sima Yuqing and the others all worked hard to cultivate, and they actually managed to advance to the divine rank in this half a year. Of course, they made use of the time difference in the Spirit Pagoda. In the past 1.5 years, they had spent 15 years in there. With their talents, it was expected that they would advance to the God level. Sima Yue, on the other hand, had put aside her cultivation for the past 6 months. Apart from her daily cultivation, she had put her focus on alchemy and array formation. Array masters were further divided into elementary array masters, intermediate array masters, advanced array masters, array masters, array grandmasters, array emperors, and so on. Sima Yue calculated her current level and realized that she had surpassed array master and was now an array grandmaster. This was mainly due to the formation book that Wu Lingyu had found for her. Other than that, her dawn had also successfully entered the 7th realm. Furthermore, it was a recent breakthrough. After entering the 6th grade of alchemy, she found that it was harder and harder to break through. No wonder there were so many primary and intermediate alchemists, and the number of advanced alchemists decreased. One day, Little Spirit appeared in front of her and looked at her suspiciously, saying, "Didn't you always want to know what's on the 2nd level?" Sima Yue slapped her forehead. Only then did she remember that the 2nd level had already been opened when she had advanced to the God level. However, because of those things, she had forgotten about it. Let's go take a look. Sima Yue put down the book and appeared on the 1st floor of the Spirit Pagoda. The last time she was here, she had been struck by lightning. But now that she thought about it, compared to the lightning tribulation she would encounter when she advanced to the God realm, this was just like scratching an itch. Little Spirit floated behind her and said, "Let's go forward and take a look." Sima Yue nodded, feeling a little nervous. What was waiting for him on the 2nd floor? She walked up the stairs one step at a time and stopped at the corner between the 1st and 2nd floor. This was where she had been stopped. Looking at the thin ripples, she took a deep breath and reached out to touch it. He had passed through. The barrier no longer obstructed her. Instead, it dissipated. She continued to walk up. As the number of stairs decreased, her heart beat faster and faster. Finally, she stepped on the last step of the stairs. However, she did not see anything. There was only darkness. Her tensed God realm spirit immediately relaxed. She asked curiously, "Little Spirit, why is there nothing on the 2nd floor?" "Who said there's nothing?" Little Spirit snapped his fingers, and the dark environment suddenly lit up. Sima Yue saw a mountain range. Mountain range? What's the difference between this and the 1st floor's mountain range? She looked at the mountain range and did not find any difference. Little Spirit rolled his eyes and said, "This is a mine, not the ordinary mountain range below. How can there be no difference?" "Mine? What do you use it for?" "To open a mine and refine equipment for Fatty. This is a crystal mine. Didn't you notice that there is less spiritual energy here and more spiritual energy?" Little Spirit roared. Sima Yue then remembered that in the primordial lands, although everyone relied on increasing the spiritual energy in their body to cultivate, there were other ways to increase the speed. For example, absorbing the spiritual energy in the crystals. Looking at these mines, Sima Yue did not know whether to laugh or cry. The resources here were comparable to the resources in the hands of the large sections. However, they were all underground. Did she have to dig them out herself? Furthermore, not all of these mountains had crystals. She was not a seeker spirit master. How would she know how to find crystals? If you want to open up these mines, you have to find a seeker spirit master. Otherwise, you have to become one. She said helplessly. Finding a seeker spirit master is not realistic. Even if you find one, you can't bring them in. Then you can only become a seeker spirit master. Seeker spirit master was the most popular profession in the primordial lands. Its status was even higher than that of an array master. The reason was that they knew how to identify stones. They knew how to find crystals and spirit veins. They also knew how to open up rare crystals for more. The last time in the Little Realm, Mo Sha was so excited when he obtained a magic crystal. It could be seen how valuable these crystals were. The status of a seeker spirit master who could open up rare crystals was self-evident. But it's easier said than done to become a seeker spirit master. She sighed and asked, "Little spirit, were there any seeker spirit masters among your previous owners?" "No," Little Spirit said, "but I have a book here." Sima Yue took the book that Little Spirit gave her and saw the words on the page. She cried out in surprise, "Spirit Seeking the Origin. It's actually Spirit Seeking the Origin. How did you get this book?" She had heard of this book in her previous life. It was said that it was the highest-ranked book in the Spirit Seeking Secret Manual. There were many secret methods to identify ores in it. It was said that only the owner of Spirit Seeking the Origin could achieve the highest achievement and become a Spirit Seeking Emperor Master. However, this book had been lost for a long time. She did not expect that it would be in Little Spirit's hands today. "I don't know which owner obtained it," Little Spirit said. "Then why didn't he become a Seeker Spirit Master?" Sima Yue asked curiously. "He didn't have time to read it before he died," Little Spirit said. Sima Yue was speechless. This owner was too pitiful. Even with Little Spirit around, he still died. However, leaving behind Spirit Seeking the Origin was a good thing for her. With this good thing, her chances of success when she went up to take revenge would be higher. Therefore, she spent most of her energy on researching and finding the source of the crystals. She first thoroughly understood the theory of Spirit Seeking the Origin. Then, she went to the second level of the Spirit Pagoda to find the source of the crystals. She put the theory into practice and increased her ability to find the source of the crystals. Time passed by in a flash and half a year quietly passed. Chapter 428. When Sima Yue left, she kept a low profile. Other than the elders in the family and Wei Ziqi's family members, no one else knew about it. The Wei clan and the Chu clan had already completely assimilated into the Yilin clan. Their strength was not high, and they could not possibly go up with Wei Ziqi and the rest. Only Sang Muyu had come out because of Ouyang Fei, so she would definitely leave with them. Moreover, because of this period of cultivation, her strength had increased by leaps and bounds, and she had already become a spiritual venerable. Other than Wei Ziqi and the others, there was also Sima Lai, Sima Yuming and the four brothers, as well as Sima Yulin, Sima Yuqing, Sima Yuyang, and the others wanted to go as well, but Sima Tai said that not everyone could go up. Otherwise, the younger generation would suffer heavy losses and affect the clan's development. They would only be allowed to leave after someone took over their position. Although Sima Yuyang and the others were unwilling, they had no choice but to stay. They would go up to look for them in the future. On this day, she placed everyone in the Spirit Pagoda. With her current strength, using the realm-breaking compass would only allow her to pass through the passageway. Sima Tai, Sima Yuyang, Sima Yuqing and Sima Yulan came to her courtyard to send her off. "If you want to look for us, you can go to Divine Devil Valley," Sima Yue said. "Okay, we will," Sima Yuyang said. You have to take care. Wait for us to go up and look for you," Sima Yuqing said worriedly. She had been worried about Sima Yue the last time. "Don't worry. We'll wait for you upstairs," Sima Yue said with a smile. She took out the breaking boundary compass and injected spiritual energy into it. Then she threw it into the air. A passage opened up around the breaking boundary compass, and it fell into her hand. "We're going." She looked at them and was a little reluctant, but she still flew into the tunnel. Sima Tai and the others watched her leave and watched the tunnel close. Seeing the reluctance in Sima Yuyang and the others' eyes, he said, "Relax, I think that it won't be long before you all can go up as well. You have to quickly develop the younger generation," Sima Yuyang said. The boundary compass that Wu Lingyu gave her had a fixed position. As long as she injected her spirit energy, it would set up a spatial passage to Divine Devil Valley. When Sima Yue entered the spatial tunnel, she could not help but sigh at how weak she was. The spatial tunnel she created was extremely unstable. Back then, although the tunnel he had constructed wasn't particularly good, it shouldn't have been so shaky. as if it would collapse at any moment. Moreover, due to the instability of the spatial passageway, his entire body was being squeezed and torn apart by the spatial pressure, causing him great pain. Boom! A deafening sound echoed through the void. Sima Yue cursed in her heart. Before she could do anything, she had deviated from her original route. The spatial passage he constructed earlier collapsed, and he was pulled into the space vortex. Fortunately, she had thought of this from the beginning, and was prepared when she entered the passage. She was holding a world-breaking compass in her hand. This compass was not like the one she used before. It was only the size of an egg. The tearing of the void caused her to lose control of her body more and more. Fortunately, she had injected spirit energy into the compass before the change occurred. The compass quickly opened a gap and brought her out of the void. She fainted after leaving the void, in a desert in the primordial lands. A camel caravan was walking unhurriedly. There were 30 over camels, and 10 over people sitting on the camels, chatting and laughing. Father will be out of this desert in half a day. A lady in her 20s was wearing a fiery red riding attire. Her hair was braided, and there were small bells hanging from the braids. The small bells chimed as she moved. The leader was a man in his 30s. When he heard his daughter's words, he smiled and said, "It's been a safe journey. I hope it will be so smooth all the way back." As if he thought of something, his smile slowly faded and worry crept into his eyebrows. The lady in red saw her father's expression and said, "Father, are you worried that the Jiang clansmen will do something bad? If we don't pay more tributes this time, the Heavenly Tiger Hall will not protect us anymore." The middle-aged man said, We prepared a lot of tributes in the past. It's just that the Jiang clan did something bad. They either robbed or stole it. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed. If not for them, how would we have been given the ultimatum?" The lady in red said. Then she smiled and said, "However, the spirit source we found this time is not bad. It should be able to produce stones. As long as we hand it to the Heavenly Tiger Hall, we will be able to survive this crisis. I'm afraid that the Jiang clan has already received news that we found the small mine. I'm afraid that they will come to snatch it again." The middle-aged man said, "Clan leader, the people we brought this time are not weak. If the Jiang clan wants to do something bad again, we will make sure that they will not be able to return." Another man at the side said, Father, there seems to be someone there." The lady in red pointed at a person who was about to be buried under the sand. The middle-aged man looked. There was indeed a person buried under the sand. Other than the face, nothing else could be seen. "Clan leader, could it be a dead person?" The man who spoke before said. "Father, let's go down and take a look." The lady in red said, "Miss, what if it's an ambush set by the Jiang clan?" The lady in red was stunned. She said uncertainly, "It shouldn't be." However, she was also unsure. She looked at her father, waiting for him to make a decision. It's not easy to set up an ambush here. The Jiang clan shouldn't be here. The middle-aged man hesitated. "Send someone down to take a look." A guard came down from the camel and ran down. He shouted to them, "Clan leader, it's a young lad. He seems to be severely injured." After confirming that there was no ambush, the camel team stopped. A few guards were left behind, while the rest came down. "Father, this person seems to be severely injured. Let's save him." The lady in red looked at Sima Yue, who was dug out from the sand by the guards. She frowned and said, "Clan leader, we don't even dare to walk alone in this area. How could a young lad be injured here?" Someone said, hinting that Sima Yue's appearance here was unusual. "But father, there are very few people here. If we don't save him, I'm afraid that he will be buried by the sand." The lady said with pity. The middle-aged man looked at Sima Yue carefully. He did not recognize the blood ring on her left hand. He also could not find anything else that could identify her. He could not confirm her identity. In the end, he sighed and said, "Since we've already met him, let's bring him along. When we get out of the desert and into the town, we'll put him down." Chapter 429. Pain. This was the biggest feeling Sima Yue had after she regained consciousness. The pain this time was almost comparable to the last time he was struck by lightning, but the consequences were much more serious. This was because she realized that other than her physical injuries, she was also injured in the void. Her sense of space was a little chaotic for a moment, and she actually lost connection with her spatial ring and spirit pagoda. That also meant that Bei Gong Tang and the others would not be able to come out. She panicked, but she was also very weak. She only woke up for a moment before falling into darkness again. When she regained her consciousness, the first thing she did was to sense the spirit pagoda. It was only after she discovered the connection between her and the spirit pagoda that she relaxed. Fortunately, although he still couldn't open the spirit pagoda and spatial ring, at least there was a connection. This meant that he was recovering, and he should be able to open the spirit pagoda soon. She felt her dry throat being moistened by the cold water, and her burning body felt much better. Her heavy eyelids slowly opened. "You're awake," a clear voice sounded beside her. Sima Yue felt as if she was in a carriage. Her body was swaying, and in front of her was a handsome face with eyes as bright as the stars. Before she could say anything, the woman had already told her what she wanted to know. "I'm Zhuo Ma. My father is Zhuo Ran. We saw you in the desert 2 days ago. At that time, you were almost buried alive. Right now, we have already left the desert and are rushing towards Evernew City. Did they save her?" "Thank you," she said, her voice hoarse. "It's better if you don't talk. My father gave you a pill, but the level isn't high, so your body hasn't recovered yet." Zhuo Ma said, "Come drink some more water." Zhuo Ma placed the water belt beside Sima Yue's mouth and fed her 2 mouthfuls. Actually, she was shocked to see Sima Yue's injuries. Her father had said before that Sima Yu's entire body had been torn apart. Although they had given her pills to eat, they were only third-ranked healing pills. For such serious injuries, they didn't even know if it would have any effect. However, in the past 2 days, her injuries had healed at a speed visible to the naked eye, which shocked everyone. Even Zhuo Ran felt that it was too strange. Sima Yue drank the water. Zhuo Ma wanted to say something, but she didn't ask anything in the end. "Have a good rest. We still have a few days before we reach Evernew City. I'll go out first." With that, she smiled at Sima Yue, pulled open the curtain and left. Sima Yue waited for her to leave before sensing the connection between her and the spirit pagoda again. After confirming that everything was fine, she retracted her thoughts and recalled what had happened earlier. It had only been less than a minute since the change in space to her breaking out of the void, but she had suffered such serious injuries. Furthermore, her physique had been tempered over the years and was comparable to that of a spirit beast. She was many times stronger than an ordinary person. If it were anyone else, they would have been torn to pieces in an instant. Fortunately, she had the boundary-piercing compass in her hand from the start and reacted quickly. When she heard the sound, she immediately injected her spirit energy into it. If she hadn't prepared beforehand and didn't react so quickly, she wouldn't have been able to come out. Thinking about that sound, she was curious. Listening to that sound, there should be someone fighting. To be able to affect the void in a battle, what kind of people were fighting? Although she had only been in the void for a minute, she didn't know how many regions she had deviated from. And she didn't know which region she had deviated from, so she had no way of guessing the distance between her and the Divine Devil Valley. She heard Zhuo Ma talking to Zhuo Ran on the beast's carriage after she went out. "Father, she's already awake," Zhuo Ma said. "How is she?" Zhuo Ran asked. "She has already recovered quite a bit," Zhuo Ma replied. "That speed is much faster than what I've seen before. Patriarch, we'll reach Evernew City in 2 days. We'll just send her to the inn then, right?" Zhuo Yang said. After Evernew City, we'll be in the Jiang family's territory. If we bring her along, we might implicate her," Zhuo Ran said. "But father, she's so good-looking, and that Evernew City's city lord is a guy. She's injured so badly. Wouldn't it be bad if we leave her in the city?" Zhuo Ma said disapprovingly. "But we just received news yesterday that the Jiang family is preparing to intercept us. If we bring her along, won't we be held back? What if we die because of her?" Zhuo Yang said. Zhuiyang, shut up. Zhuoma scolded softly. She's someone we saved, how can you say that? If we really die, it's because we're not strong enough. How can you blame others? Zhuiyang, your cousin is right. You can't say that in front of her. Zhuoran said. Oh right, what's that young master called? I forgot to ask. Zhuoma slapped her forehead and said in annoyance. I'm not spouting nonsense. Zhuiyang said. That person appeared in the desert for no reason. And we didn't feel any spiritual energy fluctuation from her body. That means she's not a spirit master. We're bringing a normal person. If we're not being held back, what is? Zhuiyang, you're the one who's afraid of death. Leave now and don't stay with us. Zhuoma said angrily. Zhuiyang was Zhuoma's cousin. Although the relationship between the siblings wasn't good, she had never scolded him like this. Now that an outsider had scolded him, he was angry. Isn't he just a pretty boy? Why are you so protective of him? I'm thinking of everyone's safety. Do you want to harm everyone's lives because of a pretty boy? You're spouting nonsense. Zhuoma's anger rose as well. Anyway, you're not allowed to leave him in Evernew City. I don't agree. Zhuoran didn't think that his daughter would be so insistent. He thought about it and said, how about this? We'll leave him at the next place after we pass Evernew City. Humph. Zhuoma snorted coldly, agreeing with Zhuoran's idea. Thinking that she would see Zhuiyang's face outside, she opened the door and entered. She didn't think that Sima Yue wasn't asleep. Seeing her understanding gaze, Zhuoma was a little embarrassed. That cousin of mine is like that. Don't take it to heart. Sima Yue said. Zhuoma was stunned. She then knew that Sima Yue was talking about her name. She smiled and said, Yue, why did you appear in the desert? How did you get injured? Where is your home? Although she felt that Sima Yue was a good person after seeing her eyes, she still wanted to know why she got injured. Do you know how far the Divine Devil Valley is from here? Sima Yue asked. Divine Devil Valley? We don't have a Divine Devil Valley here. Zhuoma replied. Chapter 430. Hearing Zhuoma's words, Sima Yue was startled. She asked, Then what about the Moonbow clan and the Cloud Cave? Zhuoma shook her head and said, I've never heard of any of these. These were all great powers in the Middle Region, but she had never heard of them? Could it be that this was not the Primordial Lands? Is this the Primordial Lands? She continued to ask. Of course, Zhuoma said. Why, you're not from the Primordial Lands. Hearing that she was in the Primordial Lands, Sima Yue heaved a sigh of relief and said, I just came to the Primordial Lands. Because of some problems, I didn't reach my destination. Your destination is the Divine Devil Valley, right? Zhuoma asked with a smile. Sima Yue nodded and did not deny it. Is this place in the middle region or the outer region? She saw that Zhuoma's strength was not high, so it should not be someone from the inner regions. We are in the periphery, Zhuoma said. And our place is very small. We have never heard of the Divine Devil Valley you mentioned. Divine Devil Valley is a powerhouse in the middle region. It's okay if you don't know about it. Sima Yue said indifferently. Although she said that she didn't care, she was feeling bitter in her heart. It wasn't easy to go from the outer region to the central region. He had never been to the outer region before, so he had to find a way to get to the middle region. But the premise was that he had to know where he was. Zhuoma saw the worry in Sima Yue's eyes and said, Don't worry, we don't know, but the people in the big places definitely know. After you recover, you can go to those big cities and have a look. That's the only way. Sima Yue sighed. Can you tell me more about your situation here? Her injuries were still quite serious, and it would take a few more days for her to recover. Sure. Zhuoma knew that she had come up from the lower continent, and definitely did not know much about this place. So she explained the situation to her. Sima Yue felt even more bitter after hearing that. In her previous life, she had heard that there were tens of thousands of regions in the periphery. She had always thought that it was an exaggeration, but she did not expect it to be true. There were countless skyscraping ridges and eightfold ridges in the periphery. The smaller forces would rely on the bigger forces for protection, while the bigger forces would rely on the higher level forces, and so on. Because the area was too vast, Zhuoma and the others had never been too far away in their lives. This was because only sects had teleportation arrays. How could those sects' teleportation arrays be used by ordinary people like them? Those teleportation arrays will not be used by outsiders, unless you can enter a sect and become a core member, or if you have something that can make them willing to provide you with teleportation arrays. Zhuoma said, "Only the Heavenly Tiger Hall has a teleportation array here. But the Heavenly Tiger Hall is not easy to talk to." Sima Yue looked at Zhuoma's expression and knew that the Heavenly Tiger Hall was not as difficult to deal with as Zhuoma had made it out to be. It was probably not a good faction. "I heard you guys talking about the Jiang family just now. What's going on?" she asked. Zhuoma thought that it would be better to tell her now so that she would be mentally prepared, and said, "The Jiang family and our Zhuo family are both clans under the Heavenly Tiger Hall. If we want to be protected by the Heavenly Tiger Hall, we have to provide them with resources on a regular basis. If we do not meet the requirements, we will lose the protection of the Heavenly Tiger Hall and be bullied by other powers." Sima Yue knew about this way of life. It was the same in some places in the central regions. For example, the Zhongzheng family was dependent on the Yin-Yang sect, while the Yin-Yang sect was dependent on other powers. The Jiang family and our Zhuo family have always been enemies. 2 years ago, our tributes to the Heavenly Tiger Hall were either stolen or destroyed by them. This caused us to not meet the requirements of the Heavenly Tiger Hall for many years. This year, the Heavenly Tiger Hall has already given us a final warning. If we do not contribute anything good, they will not protect us in the future. Zhuoma said angrily, "You guys have obtained something good this year?" Sima Yue guessed. Zhuoma nodded. "By chance, we found a small mine in the depths of the desert. Although the mine is not big, the quality of the ores inside is not bad. It actually produced a rare crystal. Thus, we took the risk and went to the small mine to dig out some ores. My father said that if we handed these over, we would be able to pass." Sima Yue was slightly surprised. They actually found a rare crystal. To a small family like theirs, this was definitely a huge amount of wealth. However, even if they obtained it, they did not own it. "Then will the Jiang family rob you?" she asked. "We received news yesterday that the Jiang family knew about the small mine and are preparing to rob us on the way." Zhuoma was furious. This Jiang family is relying on the divine sect to bully us time and time again. When we have the power, we will definitely destroy them. There were not many ranks above the divine rank. There were only the divine king, divine sect, divine emperor, and reverend gods. Every rank was not divided into 1 to 9 small ranks. It was divided into beginner, middle, and high ranks. People with the power of the divine sect could be considered strong in this place. We will have to pass by the Jiang family's territory on our way back, so it might be dangerous. Zhuoma said. "However, if we put you in Evernew City, that city lord is not a good person. He likes men. You are so good looking, it will be even more dangerous." "Many thanks," Sima Yue said gratefully. In her previous life, she had seen too much deception. She never thought that she would meet such a kind girl here. "What are you thanking me for? Actually, it is very dangerous for you to be with us. Although my father said that we will put you in the next city after Evernew City, Evernew City will belong to the Jiang family. If they come early, we..." Zhuoma did not finish her sentence, but Sima Yue understood what she meant. However, she was not worried. Wasn't there still 2 days? No one knew how much she could recover in 2 days. After another 2 days, her body could move again. She still could not open her spirit pagoda, but her spatial ring was completely under her control. They did not enter Evernew City. Instead, they planned to go around the mountain range outside the city to avoid being unable to leave. It was already late, so they found a spacious place to rest. Before entering the mountain, the beast carriage Sima Yue used before was abandoned. Because the mountain path was rugged, beast carriages could not pass through it. Fortunately, her body had mostly recovered. Although her spirit energy had not fully recovered, she had no problem moving around. When they were setting up camp, Zhuoma saw Sima Yue walking around in a circle, but she did not take it to heart. Sima Yue returned to the fire and sat down. Zhuoyang gave her a cold look, showing his dissatisfaction. He really could not understand why Zhuoma had to keep her here. A burden. Late at night, everyone went to rest. Sima Yue suddenly opened her eyes and looked towards Evernew City. Chapter 431. After she was able to open her spatial ring, she took advantage of the fact that they weren't paying attention and ate a 6th grade healing pill. Although she could recover by relying on her god-devil body, it would be faster with pills. Compared to the lower continents, the primordial lands were much crueler. As mentioned before, tens of thousands of people died every day. Who knew when danger would descend? He had to master his strength first. Sensing the aura coming from Evernew City, she wondered if she should inform the Zhuo family. Before she could make a decision, Zhuo Ran had already opened his eyes. His gaze was naturally in the direction of Evernew City. He was surprised to see Sima Yue awake and looking in that direction. This brat clearly looked very weak, so why did he feel an aura approaching? He stood up. The Zhuo family members felt his movement and woke up one after another. "Father, what's wrong?" Zhuoma stood up and asked. Zhuo Ran said with a calm expression, "It seems that the Jiang family is more anxious than we thought." "Clan head, are the Jiang clan members here?" Zhuoyang asked. Sima Yue frowned as she sensed the approaching aura. It seemed like there were more people than she had expected. Zhuo Ran also felt it and his expression changed greatly, saying, "Zhuoma, quickly take those oars and leave. No matter what happens, don't look back. When you return, pass the oars to your third uncle and ask him to hand them over to the Heavenly Tiger Hall." Upon hearing this, Zhuoma's face turned pale. "Father, did a lot of people from the Jiang family come?" "At least 2 high-level god kings." Zhuo Ran said. He was also a high-level god king, but if there were 2 of them, they wouldn't be a match for them. "Ha ha ha. It seems like your senses are quite sharp." A voice echoed in the forest, making it hard to distinguish the direction. "You want to leave? None of you are leaving today." Several figures came out of the forest and surrounded them. Sima Yue looked at them walking and felt that it was inconvenient to be on the top. Because the laws of heaven and earth were different, god kings could not fly in the air. Even though she could fly in the continent below, she could not fly in the air here. When Zhuo Ran saw who it was, she said coldly, "Jiang Fei, I didn't expect it to be you." "Haha, my big brother said that since you're personally taking action, we naturally can't fall behind. But he's busy, so he sent me." Jiang Fei laughed loudly and said, "I heard that you found quite a few good ores. If you want to go through my Jiang family's territory, shouldn't you have left some tolls? Don't go to the Jiang family's people to bully too. SSSST 2SST, SSSTS, TTSS, TTSST, STTSST, T, SSS, S, S's, SSSS Jiang." Zhuo Ran did not expect the Zhuo family to send Jiang Fei over personally. As the younger brother of the head of the family, Jiang Fei's status was not ordinary. S's. "Are you trying to silence me?" Zhuo Ran asked. "Wrong. We don't intend to kill all of you. At the very least, we want to kill those who know the location of the small mine, right?" When Jiang Fei mentioned the small mine, his eyes flashed with greed. "If you know what's good for you, then tell us the location of the small mine. Otherwise, when we cripple you and force you to confess, you'll suffer even more." "Don't even think about it." Zhuo Ran refused to compromise. "Even if we die, we won't hand over the mine to you." "Lord Jiang, look at that person." Another high-level god king saw Sima Yue sitting there calmly. He rubbed his hands and swallowed his saliva. This kid was really too handsome. He was 100 times better looking than those people in his family. He never thought that he would meet someone like this when he came here. From the moment he got close, he noticed Sima Yue. That peerless charm made him fall head over heels for her. He couldn't wait to take her back and enjoy her. Only then did Jiang Fei notice Sima Yue. He was also stunned by her appearance. When he saw the Yongxin City's city lord's perverted look, he said, "Don't worry, I'll hand her over to you later." "Thank you, Lord Jiang." The city lord looked at Sima Yue excitedly. His perverted gaze made her feel disgusted. Zhuoma also saw it. She apologized to Sima Yue and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't expect to bring you trouble." "Don't worry," Sima Yue said calmly. She was not worried or anxious. I told you to let her go. Now she's taken a fancy to us." Zhuoyang snorted. When Zhuo Ran saw Sima Yue's calm expression, he was surprised. Facing so many strong people, she did not panic at all. Could it be that she had something to rely on? Sima Yue calmly got up from the ground and patted the grass off her body, saying, "Patriarch Zhuo, since you've saved my life, I'll repay your kindness today." When Zhuo Ran saw Sima Yue's confident expression, he did not know whether to believe her or not. However, other than believing in her, they had no other choice. "Yue, do you really have a way?" Zhuoma looked at Sima Yue with uncertainty. In the past 2 days, she had been close to Sima Yue. She knew that her strength had not recovered, and the other party was stronger than her father. Did she really have a way? Sima Yue smiled at Zhuoma and said, "Don't worry, nothing will happen to you tonight." After saying that, she looked at the city lord of Yongxin City and said, "I hate it when people try to take advantage of me, especially people like you. It's really disgusting." Hee boy, when you are in my hands, no matter how disgusting you feel, I have plenty of ways to make you feel good. The city lord of Yongxin City laughed wretchedly. "Let's see if you can survive the night." Sima Yue laughed coldly. When Jiang Fei saw Sima Yue's expression, he felt that something was wrong. A sense of danger rose in his heart. "Who are you?" She was not a member of the Zhuo family, and did not have much spiritual energy waves, but it made him feel very uneasy. "Me. I am the one who will take your lives." Sima Yue laughed, like the Grim Reaper in the dark night. She injected spiritual energy into the place where she had been sitting. A bright light shone in the forest, breaking through the darkness and reaching the clouds. Everyone was shocked as a ripple of energy enveloped the entire Zhuo family. Then, an even larger ripple surrounded the entire forest. Everyone was trapped inside, unable to leave. Chapter 432. Array Master? Both the Zhuo family and the Jiang family were stunned when they saw this. At the same time, the Zhuo family was overjoyed while the Jiang family was flustered. "I did not expect you to be a formation master as well. I have underestimated you." Jiang Fei looked at Sima Yue. She had indeed brought about a change in the situation. However, he did not think that Sima Yue's array could trap him. The level of a formation was usually related to the strength of the person who set it up. Sima Yue seemed to have low spiritual power, so she might not have even reached the divine level. Moreover, this array formation could not be achieved without decades or centuries of research. Sima Yue's bone age did not seem to be very old. She had not been learning array formations for long, so she was definitely not very powerful. Thinking of this, his heart relaxed. He looked at Sima Yue and the others and said, "This is just an ordinary defensive array, right? Who knew how many attacks it could withstand from 2 high-level god kings? I'll give you a chance. Close the teleportation array and come out. If you do, I can spare your life." "Spare my life?" Sima Yue sneered and said, "We'll see if you have the ability to break my defensive array." It's just a small defense array," the mid-level divine king said disdainfully. He condensed his spiritual energy and attacked the defense array. The Zhuo family watched as the God King attacked the defensive array. They saw that Zhuo Ran did not move. They watched as the God King's attack drew closer and closer. Their hearts were in their throats. When the attack hit the defensive array, there was no fierce collision as everyone expected. The spiritual energy seemed to have been absorbed by the array and disappeared silently. The God King looked at the light of the defensive array and was so shocked that he was speechless. He was well aware of how powerful his attack was. That was an all-out attack. Yet it didn't even budge. The Zhuo family members were overjoyed. The defense array was so powerful that even a mid-level supreme being could not touch it. That meant that even if Jiang Fei personally attacked it, he might not be able to break it. Since you've already launched an attack, it wouldn't be right if I didn't reply to you. Sima Yue walked to the middle of the defense array and told Zhu Yang to move aside. After he left, she placed the array formation stone into the small groove that he was standing on just now. After the array formation stones were put in, there were no changes inside the defense array. However, white lights kept flashing outside. After the white lights disappeared, the people of the Jiang family went crazy. "Ah, I'm going to kill you." A younger man suddenly slashed at his companion. "You think you can kill me? You've been an eyesore for a long time. Mother ***, how dare you hit me?" "I'm going to kill you today, Lord Jiang. I've been longing for you for a long time. Why don't we be together?" Even the city lord began to speak crazily. Scram! Those people were talking nonsense as they attacked the people around them. Everyone used all their strength, as if the other party was their enemy for several lifetimes. Jiang Fei and the Eternal New City Lord were engaged in a fierce battle. Those elemental paragons who could not withstand the shockwaves from the battle between the high-level divine kings were all killed. When the shockwaves came into contact with the defense array, they were all blocked outside. The Zhuo family members who were inside did not feel anything at all. These people are too weak. They're all finished so quickly. Sima Yue looked at the fallen bodies and said calmly. The Zhuo family members looked at her calmly. How did she look like someone who could kill a divine king? Zhuo Yang thought about how he had always been against her, and his palms were sweating. He did not expect her to be a respected array formation master. If he had known, he would not have dared to disrespect her. However, now that things had happened, what should he do if she held a grudge? He looked at her carefully, afraid that she would hold a grudge and throw him out. Yue, what's wrong with them? Why are they suddenly killing each other? Zhuoma asked. I set up an illusion array outside. Once the illusion array is activated, they will be hallucinating. They will not recognize the people around them, and will only treat them as enemies. At the same time, they will express their inner thoughts. Sima Yue explained. But isn't this a defense array? Zhuoma did not understand. She had never seen a defense array that could be used as an illusion array. Sima Yue explained patiently. I didn't just set up a defense array at the start. Later on, I set up an illusion array. The two arrays overlapped. It can be considered an array within an array. Zhuoma stared at Sima Yue in shock. She did not know what an array within an array was, but she knew that it was very powerful. Usually, it was not bad for an array formation master to set up an array. She could actually set up an array within an array. How high was her array formation mastery? The divine kings should still be fighting for a while. Everyone should go and rest. After she finished speaking, she returned to her seat and continued to meditate to recover from her injuries. The Zhuo family members looked at her calm expression and then looked at the battle outside. They all shuddered. However, they were all thankful that Sima Yue was with them. Otherwise, they would have all died here tonight. They looked at the battle outside and realized that no matter how they moved, they could not leave the outermost layer of light. They could only fight inside. In other words, they could not leave at all. They could only fight their way out of the array formation. Seeing this, everyone looked at Sima Yue with fear in their eyes. She was really ruthless. These people came to kill them, but she did not even move. Instead, she killed them all. Most of the night passed, and the sky was already turning white. Sima Yue only opened her eyes now. He's the one who survived? I thought it would be the one from the Jiang family who survived. She looked at the Yongxin city lord, who was lying on the ground panting. He was missing an arm, and the meridians in his legs were severed. His flesh was also cut open. He was about as strong as Jiang Fei. He was lucky to be able to win against Jiang Fei and survive. When he was the only one left in the array formation, the illusion array's effect disappeared. Only then did he see the blood and body parts on the ground. He looked at Sima Yue with fear in his eyes. She was a demon. The Zhua family members who had watched from the beginning to the end were deeply shocked and afraid. Sima Yue stood up and walked over. She kept the array formation stone, and the illusion array disappeared. Master, these people? Zhua Ran looked at Sima Yue and asked. He had changed the way he addressed her. Since they are here to deal with you, you can do whatever you want. I don't think you want the Jiang family to know about what happened today, right? Sima Yue said. Her body was not fully recovered yet. She did not want to care about these things. Zhua Ran nodded and said, The few of you clean up these bodies in blood. Yes, master. Sima Yue went to the nearby river to wash up. When she returned, the Zhua family had already cleaned up the scene. When they saw her return, everyone froze. Chapter 433. Sima Yue noticed their strange behavior, but did not take it to heart. In the primordial lands, everyone admired and feared array masters, not to mention that he had shown them the power of an array master last night. That kind of impact was something they would never forget for the rest of their lives. Master! The Zhua family members greeted her stiffly. They were a little scared when they saw Sima Yue, but more than that they felt awkward. Previously, they had been gossiping about her. Unexpectedly, she had saved their lives at the critical moment. Sima Yue frowned and said, Don't call me master, just call me Yue. He wasn't used to being called master. The Zhua family members did not show any signs of flattery. Instead, they were more embarrassed and embarrassed. This showed that they were not bad people. If they had tried to flatter her, she might have left by now. Moreover, Zhuama had been taking good care of him these past few days, so he could forget about the unhappiness from before. Yue, are you done washing up? Zhuama said with a smile. Sima Yue nodded and asked, Is the Jiang family far from here? It's a bit far. If we take a flying beast, it'll take about a day, Zhua Ran replied. Why don't you guys ride the flying beasts? Sima Yue asked. The Zhua family members were a little embarrassed. We don't have any flying beasts. It was only then that Sima Yue remembered that this was already the primordial lands. In this place, not everyone had contracted beasts. This was because those spirit beasts valued their bloodlines very much, and would not allow their clansmen to become contracted beasts of humans. Now that he thought about it, in the primordial lands, one couldn't fly in the air, contract spiritual beasts, or use teleportation arrays unless one was above the divine sect level. These were even more inconvenient than the lower realms. How far are we from your family? She asked. Based on our current speed, we'll arrive in less than half a month, Zhua Ran replied. Although Sima Yue was not in a hurry, she did not want to waste time on traveling. But she couldn't contact Little Peng right now, so she had no way of calling them out. It would be great if we could find a means of transportation, Sima Yue said. If not, we can find a flying beast. Big. Yue, you can't say these words so casually. If the spirit beasts hear it, it will attract trouble, Zhua Ran said. As long as the spirit beast is willing, it doesn't matter. Sima Yue said. Are there any flying beasts here? Yes, Zhuama said. I remember that there is a Luan bird a few mountains ahead. It is a sacred beast. Let's go and take a look, Sima Yue said with her eyes shining. All right, I'll take you there. Zhuama was also a little excited. If they could really find a flying beast to ride on, it would be much safer and faster for them to return. Zhua Ran wanted to stop them, but when he saw Sima Yue's confident expression, and remembered that she had the same expression last night, he swallowed his words. It would be nice to have a flying beast as a means of transportation. Hence, they packed up their things and rushed towards the Luan bird's location. In the afternoon, they arrived at the mountain where the Luan bird was. From afar, they could see the huge nest in the middle of the cliff. It's there. Zhuama pointed at the nest and said, The last time we passed by here, we saw the Luan bird. Sima Yue looked over and realized that the Luan bird was not in the nest. It must have gone out to look for food. Zhuama, do you want a Luan bird to be your flying beast? Seeing Zhuama looking at the nest with a yearning expression, Sima Yue asked. Of course I want to, but if I want to contract it, I have to tame it first. We have very few beast tamers here. There are not even 2 beast tamers in the entire Heavenly Tiger Ridge. Zhuoma said sadly. Sima Yue rubbed her nose. In the primordial lands, beast tamers were a special profession. Although they had a high status in the human world, they were few in number. This was because the spirit beasts hated beast tamers. Becoming a beast tamer was a dangerous thing. If I tame it, do you want it? She turned her head and looked at Zhuoma. Zhuoma was stunned and said, yes. Then let's wait here. Sima Yue said. She then looked at Zhuoran and asked, how high is that Luan bird? Can you subdue it? No. Zhuoran said. That's a 2nd rank sacred beast. Sacred beasts. 1 rank and 2 ranks of sacred beasts were equivalent in strength. Moreover, because their bodies were stronger, their battle prowess was stronger. A 2nd rank sacred beast's strength was equivalent to a high-level divine king. If it had reached the late stage of the 2nd rank, its strength would be equivalent to a low-level divine overlord. Zhuoran was only a low-level divine king. Naturally, he was not a match for this Luan bird. Sima Yue thought for a while and said, I'll go down for a while. You guys wait for me here. After speaking, she quickly ran towards the opposite cliff. Looking at her speed, it seemed like her body had almost recovered. When she reached the bottom of the cliff, everyone saw her casually throw a few things. Then, she walked around the bottom of the cliff and came back. Is this enough? Zhuoma looked at Sima Yue with uncertainty. It's enough. Sima Yue said confidently. Today I'll gift you a Luan bird. All right. Zhuoma looked at Sima Yue and smiled shyly. They waited on the opposite mountain for more than an hour before the Luan bird came back. After circling in the air once, it flew back to its nest. It's not a pure-blooded Luan bird. Sima Yue commented after seeing the Luan bird. She had met a real pure-blooded Luan bird in her previous life. Compared to this one, it looked much more noble. Oh, the taste should also be much more delicious. And this bird only had a little of the Luan bird's bloodline, so it looked similar to a Luan bird. This bird's bloodline was not pure, but it could still become a sacred beast. This meant that its innate talent was not bad. When the Luan bird landed on the nest, the array below was immediately activated. The Luan bird was immediately trapped in the array. The sudden change caused the Luan bird to panic, but it quickly calmed down. Seeing Sima Yue and the rest coming out from the opposite mountain, it said, Is this your doing? When it came back, it felt the presence of humans on the opposite mountain. It did not expect them to dare to scheme against it. Sima Yue walked over. Seeing its ferocious look, she was not afraid and said, It's our doing. I'm going to tear you apart. The Luan bird flapped its wings and wanted to rush over, but found itself trapped in the array. It's no use. My array can even trap a high-ranking divine overlord, not to mention a level 2 sacred beast like you. Sima Yue said. What do you want? The Luan bird stared at Sima Yue with red eyes. We don't want to do anything. Sima Yue said with a smile. We just want you to be our flying beast. The Zhuo family could not help but frown at her words. She wanted the Luan bird to be her flying beast, and she still said that she did not want to do anything? Chapter 434. The Luan was enraged by Sima Yue's words, but no matter how hard it tried, it was unable to break out of the array. Don't waste your energy. Sima Yue jumped onto a large rock and said, If you didn't return to your bird's nest, you might have been able to avoid my array. However, you clearly knew that someone had come, yet you still ignored it. Your conceit has become your fatal killer. The Luan exuded a cold aura and looked at Sima Yue with murderous intent. She was right. When he came back, he smelled the scent of humans. However, he relied on his high strength and didn't put them in his eyes. He didn't even check to see if there was any danger. What do you want? It tried a few times, but it found that it was useless, so it stopped. I said I want you, Sima Yue said. Be her contracted beast. No. The Luan firmly refused. You only have 2 choices. Choose her or die, Sima Yue said. Then I choose death. The Luan said without hesitation. All right, I'll fulfill your wish. Sima Yue did not try to persuade him. Instead, She sent a stream of spirit energy towards the array, and a wisp of Qi Yan's flame into it. When the Luan saw crimson flames, its eyes were filled with fear. The temperature of the flames, the aura, it was definitely that person. It wanted to say something, but the flames wrapped around it. The scorching temperature made it feel the aura of death, and the fear of death spread out from its heart. It lowered its head, and saw that its feet and wings were burned to ashes by the flames. Then the flames quickly approached its heart and head. Before the flames engulfed it completely, regret flashed through its heart. Why did it insist on choosing death? At this moment, it finally understood that being alive was more important than anything else. Even becoming a contract beast was better than dying. The last bit of its consciousness was swallowed up, and the Luan bird finally touched the aura of death. Everything returned to darkness. Bang! The Luan bird fell from its nest and landed heavily on the ground. It opened its eyes, which were filled with confusion. Wasn't it burned to ashes by the flames? How did he come back to life? Sima Yue walked to the edge of the array and looked at its puzzled expression, saying, "Are you curious about how you came back to life? What did you do?" Luan Niao looked at Sima Yue cautiously. "It's nothing. I just let you experience death in the illusion," Sima Yue said. "Although it's an illusion, I think your feelings are still very real, right? How does death taste? Do you still want to die? If you still insist, I won't be in an illusion this time." She played with the flame in her hand, her eyes smiling, but the Luan felt as if it had fallen into an ice cellar. It knew that Sima Yue was not joking this time, and she would not give it a second chance. Death or being contracted. It was in a dilemma, but when it saw the flame in Sima Yue's hand, the feeling of death struck its heart again. I surrender. In the end, it was defeated by the illusion just now. It did not want to experience that kind of fear again. All right. Sima Yue kept the flame, saying, "Then come over here, I'll tame you." Luan Niao stood up and walked over, placing its head at the edge of the array. Sima Yue reached out and placed her hand on its forehead. She used the little spiritual energy in her body and began to tame it. Although Luan Niao surrendered, it was still unwilling, so Sima Yue had a hard time taming it. Of course, most of the reason why she was willing was because she had not fully recovered. Fortunately, her spiritual energy was strong. She used it to invade Luan Niao's brain and fought with it. In the end, Luan Niao was defeated. After its spiritual energy was defeated, Sima Yue had a much easier time taming it. Half a day later, Sima Yue retracted her hand. With a wave of her hand, she kept the array stones and the array was broken. She turned her head and looked at Zhuo Ma, saying, "Let's form the contract." When the Zhuo family saw Luan Niao being tamed, they were stunned. It took a long time for them to regain their senses. They did not dare to speak. They did not even dare to breathe, afraid that they would disturb her training. She moved to the side, and they saw that Luan Niao had been completely tamed. Its previously violent eyes were now filled with confusion. Zhuo Ma shouted and ran over. It looked at Luan Niao excitedly, then looked at Sima Yue saying, "You're really giving this to me?" Sima Yue nodded. "Oh, Yue, you're too amazing. You're actually a beast tamer." Zhuo Ma shouted excitedly, "Quickly form the contract. Once it's done, we can continue on our way." Sima Yue urged. Yes. Zhuo Ma nodded vigorously. It turned to look at its father. Seeing him nod, it turned around and placed her hand on Luan Niao's forehead to form the contract. Very quickly, the contract formation enveloped both of them. It then flashed into the space between their eyebrows. When the Zhuo family saw that the contract was successful, they wanted to talk to Zhuo Ma. However, after taking 2 steps, they saw her and Luan Niao being enveloped by the light of advancement. It actually advanced. Young Miss and her contracted beast advanced at the same time. Is this the effect of the contract? But I've never seen anyone advance after forming a contract. This young Master Sima is too amazing. That's right. Not only is he an array master, but he's also a beast tamer. I don't know what kind of beast taming method he uses. He can actually advance after forming a contract. Young Miss Contracted Beast was originally a level 2 sacred beast. Now that it has advanced to a level 3 sacred beast, Wouldn't its strength be on par with a divine sect? Then it's now the strongest in our family. That's right. With it, why would we need to be afraid of the Jiang family? That's great. As the family members discussed excitedly, Zhuoran found it hard to calm down. It could be said that their family's fate had changed in an instant. He looked at Sima Yue gratefully. If he hadn't saved her in the desert, they probably wouldn't have changed so much. Saving her was the best thing they had done in all these years. Very quickly, Zhuoma and the Luan Niao's advancement ended. Zhuoma was so excited that it jumped up. The Luan Niao was also unable to control itself. Thank you, Yue. Zhuoma happily expressed its gratitude to her. You saved me. Sima Yue calmly replied. If she hadn't insisted on saving it, it wouldn't have repaid her today. I still have to thank you, Zhuoma said. Yue, since you can tame beasts, then can you help us tame a few more? If the family members could have more contracted beasts, then wouldn't they be even stronger? When the Zhuo family members heard Zhuoma's words, they nervously held their breaths. Sima Yue hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, Sure. You'll be responsible for bringing them back. Chapter 435. Great. Thank you, Yue. Zhuoma looked at Sima Yue gratefully. Don't worry, we will reward you. They knew that it was expensive for a beast tamer to tame a spirit beast. But even if they had to sell everything they had, they still wanted to increase their family's strength. Sima Yue did not say anything. She did not care about the reward either. The main reason why she agreed to their request was because when she first tamed the beast, she realized that the feedback from taming the beast could help her recover her spiritual energy. Although it was only a little, it was still possible to accumulate it. Anything below level 4 sacred beasts is fine. The higher you can catch, the more powerful the spirit beasts you'll get. Sima Yue said, I'm too lazy to go, I'll wait for you here. Alright, let's go catch it. Zhuoma smiled and said, With the Luan here, are you afraid that we won't be able to catch it? She smiled as she climbed onto the back of the Luan bird. She called out to her clansmen to get on as well. Then they flew into the mountains. Sima Yue sat down on a big rock under the nest. There was the aura of the Luan here, so normal spirit beasts would not dare to come here. Yu, I've finally contacted you. Are you alright? Little Roar's voice sounded, both excited and worried. I'm fine. Sima Yue smiled and said, How is everyone? We're all fine. It's just that we couldn't contact you. Everyone was worried to death. Little Roar said, What happened? When I was in the void, I encountered some people fighting. The spatial passageway collapsed, and I was injured by the void power. That's why I lost contact with the spirit pagoda and the spatial ring. Sima Yue said, But it's already recovering now. The space ring can be opened, and I believe that the spirit pagoda will recover soon. You'll be able to come out then. That's good. Little Roar said, Yu, where are you now? It landed in the periphery. I don't know where it is now. Sima Yue had a headache thinking about this. Once Little Roar heard that they had landed in the outer perimeter, he immediately cried out, Outer perimeter? It's very difficult for people from the outer regions to enter the central regions. How do you get to the Divine Devil Valley? Sima Yue said helplessly, I don't know. I've never been to the outer regions before. I'll ask around when we get to a bigger place. We can only do this. Little Roar said. Tell them not to worry, they will be out in a while. Sima Yue said. All right. Sima Yue and Little Roar kept chatting until Zhuoma and the others returned. Yu, we've caught 3 spiritual beasts this time. 2 of them are rank 1 sacred beasts, and 1 is a rank 9 divine beast. Zhuoma said, You've just tamed a sacred beast. We'll bring these back and wait for you to recover your spiritual energy before taming them, all right? Sima Yue looked at the 3 spirit beasts. They were not spirit beasts that lived in groups. If they did, they would not dare to touch them. Let's tame it here. She stood up and walked over. Here. Don't you need to rest? Zhuoma said. No need. Sima Yue saw that the 3 spirit beasts had already lost their ability to move. It seemed like the Luan bird was venting its anger on these spirit beasts. You can leave them here and continue to catch them, Sima Yue said. In 2 days, you can catch as many as you can. Is that really possible? Zhuoma asked in disbelief. Sima Yue nodded. But we don't have that much money to pay for it, Zhuoran said. They were naturally happy that Sima Yue was willing to help them tame spirit beasts. Usually, even if a beast tamer begged, they would not be able to get one. However, they knew that taming a spirit beast was expensive. If Sima Yue helped them tame a few, they would still be able to pay for it. But if it was more, where would they find that much money? That's right. We don't have that much money these past few years. Zhuoma also thought of the predicament at home and scratched its face in embarrassment. 1,000 middle-grade crystal stones. Sima Yue said, you only have 2 days. 1,000 middle-grade crystal stones. This price stunned the Zhuo clan. However, they quickly recovered and excitedly went to catch the spirit beasts. Taming one spirit beast was only 1,000 middle-grade crystal stones. Even if they caught 10, it would only be 10,000. 100 of them would only be 100,000 middle-grade crystal stones. In the past, the Jiang clan had hired a beast tamer out of nowhere and tamed one spirit beast for 20,000 middle-grade crystal stones. Sima Yue, compared to that, it was simply too cheap. Sima Yue watched the Zhuo clan leave, and her gaze fell on the 3 spirit beasts. She walked over and started to tame them one by one. In these 2 days, the Zhuo clan had sent back several spirit beasts and sacred beasts. Every time they came back, Sima Yue would tame them without stopping for a moment. They were all worried that she would not be able to handle it. In these 2 days, they had caught a total of 15 spirit beasts. Sima Yue spent 3 to 4 days to tame all of them. This time, those who could come along were the more important people in the clan. The Zhuo clan left 4 for the rest of the clan, and the rest for the people present. After Sima Yue finished taming the spirit beasts, she told Zhuoma that she wanted to go into closed-door cultivation for 2 days. Zhuoma immediately said that she would protect her. She thought about it and agreed. After all, this place was not completely safe. She set up an array under the bird's nest, and then went into closed-door cultivation. The Zhuo clan had obtained the spirit beasts, and wanted to go into the mountains to see if they could find any resources. Zhuoran and Zhuoma stayed behind to protect Sima Yue. Looking at Sima Yue who was cultivating in the array, Zhuoran could not help but sigh. His daughter was right. However, seeing Zhuoma's expression he sighed and said, "Child, he is not a fish in a pond. It is impossible for him to stay here." Zhuoma's expression stiffened and said, "Father, I understand." "It's good that you understand." Zhuoran looked at his daughter with a pained expression. She had always had high standards. Now that she had finally taken a liking to a man, this was the result. Zhuoran looked at Sima Yue's figure in a daze. A few days ago, when she saw Sima Yue open her eyes, she knew that she was a person with a story. It was impossible for her to stay here and live. However, this did not affect her feelings. However, if she knew that Sima Yue was a girl, she wondered if she would still be so insistent. These few days, Sima Yue's body had been recovering. Coupled with the feedback from taming the spirit beasts, she felt that the force that had been shackling the spirit pool since she woke up was loosening. This time, she planned to completely break the shackles and recover her spirit energy. Kacha! After thousands of attacks, the shackles were finally broken. She could even hear the sound of the shackles breaking. The spirit energy was freed and quickly circulated in her body. She regained control of her strength. Ugh! She let out a comfortable sigh and opened her eyes. Her gaze was like a torch. Chapter 436. Zhuoran and Zhuoma were shocked by Sima Yue's aura. That aura was definitely not something an ordinary person could possess. Sima Yue sensed the power in her body and guided the spiritual power to circulate in her body again. When she opened her eyes again, her aura was restrained, and she gave off the same feeling as before. She exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, got down from the rock, and opened the defense array. Yue, have your injuries healed? Zhuoma asked. Yeah, it's almost healed. Just a little bit more, and it will take some time. Sima Yue said. Congratulations. Thank you. Since you've recovered, let's call them back and prepare to head back. Zhuoran said. Seeing that Sima Yue did not object, he took out a signal flare and shot it into the air. Not long after, the Zhuo family returned. This time, not only did they kill an important figure of the Jiang family, but they also obtained so many contract beasts. It could be said that they had gained a lot. It could be said that they were now the strongest in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge, other than the Heavenly Tiger Hall. They sat on the back of the Luan bird and flew in the direction of the Zhuo family. Sima Yue felt the wind blowing against her face and sighed that it was faster and more comfortable this way. A journey that would have taken half a month was completed in just 2 days. Seeing them return on their flying beasts, the Zhuo family members all ran out to watch the show. Wow, it's really a flying beast. Look at how beautiful it is. And it's a sacred beast. Why did Patriarch and the others come back on a flying beast? Look, it has landed on Miss's shoulder. Heavens, is that Miss's contracted beast? How could Miss have a sacred beast contract beast? The Patriarch even brought a stranger back. From the looks of it, the Patriarch is very respectful to her. Could she be someone from the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Zhuo Xiao led the group out, and the clansmen all made way for them. Big brother, why are you back so early? How was the journey? Zhuo Xiao looked at Zhuo Ran and the others, surprised that they had returned early. We're fine. Zhuo Ran nodded at Zhuo Xiao. Then the Jiang family. The Jiang clan had received the news and knew that they had gone to dig for ores. How could they not interfere halfway? The Jiang clan has indeed sent someone over, and the one leading them is Jiang Fei. Zhuo Ran said. They even called Evernew City's city lord. Zhuo Xiao was startled and said, 2 high-level divine kings? Then how did you escape? I'll tell you later, Zhuo Ran said, then turned to the side and said, This is Yue. She'll be staying with us for a while. Yue, this is my third brother Zhuiyang's father. Zhuo Xiao looked at Zhuo Ran and knew that this person's identity was definitely not simple. She respectfully bowed to her. Sima Yue nodded at him. Zhuoma, we've been on the road for 2 days. Bring Yue to Shangyuan to rest. Zhuo Ran instructed. Yes, father. Zhuoma said. Yue, let me take you to rest. Then Yue will take her leave first. Sima Yue finished speaking and followed Zhuoma into the Zhuo clan. Seeing Sima Yue and Zhuoma leave, Zhuo Xiao looked suspiciously at his elder brother and asked, Elder brother, what is Yue's identity? You actually let her stay in Shangyuan. That's a place that only the most respected people can stay. If you don't have a good reason, those elders in the clan won't be able to say anything. Since I let her stay there, she naturally has the right. Zhuo Ran said. Did you see that bird on Zhuoma's shoulder? Is that the flying beast that you came back on? Awa Xiao asked. When he came out, he heard that they came back on a flying beast. It should be that one. That's right, that's a level 3 sacred beast. It's Zhuo Ma's contracted beast now. Zhuo Ran said, shocking the Zhuo clan. They had already guessed that it was Zhuo Ma's contracted beast, but they didn't expect it to be a level 3 sacred beast. A level 3 sacred beast. That was an existence comparable to a divine sect. Their entire clan didn't have anyone with that kind of power. Could it be that you're saying? Zhuo Xiao sucked in a breath and guessed Sima Yue's identity. That's right, she's a beast tamer. Zhuo Ran said. Not only did she tame a sacred beast for Zhuo Ma, she also tamed close to 20 spirit beasts for our clan. Really? Zhuo Xiao and the clan elders who had just arrived all cried out. Of course it's true. Zhuo Ran smiled and said, Call out your contracted beasts. Yes, Patriarch. The clan disciples all called out their contracted beasts, and the lineup gave everyone a fright. They're all sacred beasts and level 9 divine beasts. The Zhuo clan great elder cried out. Not only that, look behind. Zhuo Ran waved his hand, and the clan disciples dodged to the side. Behind them were 4 cages containing 4 sacred beasts. These are? The second elder looked excitedly at the tamed sacred beasts. He guessed that they were prepared for them, but he couldn't believe it. These were tamed by Yue. We kept them for you. Zhuo Ran said. To tame so many spirit beasts, how much did you pay her? The third elder felt the pinch. Wouldn't the entire Zhua clan be emptied to the cost of taming these spirit beasts? 1,000 middle-grade crystals each. Zhua Ran said. Only 1,000 middle-grade crystals? Zhua Xiao said in surprise. That's not much even if you add them all up. Why would she be willing to tame them for us? Because we saved her in the desert, Zhua Ran said. He told them how he had met Sima Yu and what he had experienced over the past few days. The Zhua clansmen were stunned as they listened. She's also an array master? Yes, if it wasn't for her, we would have been killed by Jiang Fei outside Yongnu City, Zhua Yang said. Speaking of that night, they still had some lingering fear. The scene of the divine kings killing each other was too shocking. She's both an array master and a beast tamer. She's also a great benefactor to the Zhua clan. So, she's worthy of living in the upper court. Zhua Ran said. Now that our clan's strength has increased by a lot, third brother, the three elders, you should go and contract the spirit beasts first. There will be a surprise waiting for you. Zhua Ran said. All right, we'll go and contract them first. The first elder said. Oh right, Yue likes to be quiet. Tell everyone not to disturb her. Zhua Ran ordered. Yes, master. When Sima Yue arrived at the upper court, she could feel that it was not a place for ordinary people to live. The things here were obviously better than outside. Zhua Ma could see that she wanted to be alone, so it left. Sima Yue closed the door, then took out a drop of soul fluid, and began to cultivate. Because of the changes brought by Sima Yue, the Zhua clan was full of joy. However, everyone remembered that Sima Yue did not like to be noisy. Only the upper court was quiet. Sima Yue went into seclusion for 3 days. When she came out, an uninvited guest came to the Zhua clan. Chapter 437. After Zhua Ran and Zhua Xiao received the news, they hurriedly went outside, just in time to see the beast carriage swaying towards them. The beast carriage stopped in front of the Zhua residence. Zhua Ran and Zhua Xiao stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Welcome to the Zhua residence, Hall Master Zhou. The one driving the carriage was a bearded man. He looked like a rough man who only knew how to fight. He got off the beast carriage and turned to open the door. Then, a man in white came out of the beast carriage. Although the man was dressed in white, he couldn't conceal his sinister aura. Greetings, Hall Master Zhou. Zhua Ran bowed again. Yes. Zhou Shu Ren's nostrils flared as he glanced at Zhua Ran and said, I am here on orders to investigate the affairs of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. I will be staying here for a few days, so I will have to trouble you to stay at the Zhua residence. For Hall Master Zhou, to be able to stay in the Zhua clan is our fortune, Zhua Ran said with a smile. I heard that your Zhua clan's best courtyard is even better than my Heavenly Tiger Halls. I think it's called Upper Park. I'll stay there, Zhou Shuren said. Zhua Ran felt bitter in his heart. He thought to himself that he had guessed correctly. Zhou Shuren would definitely want to stay in the Upper Park. This Zhou Shuren was just a hall master of a hall, but he was the most arrogant person in the Heavenly Tiger Hall. He had done a lot of things to show off. I'm truly sorry, Hall Master Zhou. There's currently a guest living in the upper garden, Zhua Ran said. My Zhua clan has another courtyard. What? The fact that our hall master is willing to stay in your Zhua family is already giving you face. Yet you still dare to let him stay elsewhere? A guard interrupted Zhua Ran's words, pointing at his nose and scolding. That's right. Are you trying to show that you don't have any respect for the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Another guard chided. The coachman glared at him, the fury in his eyes chilling. Is that so? Zhou Shuren looked at Zhua Ran, as if he would execute him on the spot if he dared to say anything. No, we are still under the protection of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. How would we dare to act rashly? Zhua Ran smiled apologetically. It's just that this guest has already moved in a few days ago. If we let her leave now, Hall Master Zhou will be living in a place where someone else has lived before. Wouldn't this make Hall Master Zhou feel wronged? Zhou Shuren thought he was right. How could he live in a place where someone else had lived before? Who is that person? He actually dares to live in the place our hall master wants to live in. The guard who spoke first said angrily, "He is a great master, a benefactor of our Zhua clan." Zhua Ran replied, "Ask her to come see us." To act. To ran. Zhua Ran was taken aback. He didn't expect them to be so persistent even after he had said so. However, he didn't dare to offend Sima Yu and evaded. "Hall leader Zhou. He is currently in closed-door cultivation. I'm afraid it wouldn't be good to call him now." "So you're not going?" Although Zhou Shuren's character wasn't good, he wasn't an idiot. After a few times, he could tell that Zhou Ran was protecting Sima Yu. 2. How would we dare to offend the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Even if we had the guts, we wouldn't dare. Zhou Ran explained. The hall master of the Heavenly Tiger Hall was a high-ranked divine overlord. It was said that he was one step away from becoming a divine emperor. He was the highest ranked in this area. Furthermore, the Heavenly Tiger Hall had many members. Even if the Zhua family's strength had increased, they would not dare to go against the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Ding San, go and bring that person here. I want to see what kind of person she is. She is protected by the Zhua family. Zhou Shuren snorted. "Yes, hall master." The first person replied. He walked past Zhua Ran and entered the Zhua family. Zhua Ma, who was hiding behind the main door, heard the words. Her expression changed. She turned and ran towards the garden. Zhua Ran and Zhua Xiao were shocked. They bowed and said, "Hall Master Zhou, the garden is rather remote. Let me go and get her." "Lord Ding San, you don't have to make the trip." "No need. I don't think you will be able to get her. Let Ding San go." "Ding San, you go." Zhou Shuren laughed coldly. "Yes, Hall Master." Ding San turned and continued walking. "Hall Master, this Lord Ding San has never been to the Zhua family before. I'm afraid he won't be able to find the garden. Why don't I lead him there?" Awa Xiao said. Ding San stopped again. That's right. He had never been to the Zhua family before. He really didn't know the location of the garden. "Then you lead the way," Zhou Shuren said. "Yes." Zhua Xiao cupped his hands and said. He then walked in front of Ding San and said, "Lord Ding San, please." Zhua Xiao led Ding San to another path. He knew that Zhua Ma and the others must have already gone to warn Sima Yue. Indeed, when they reached the garden, Sima Yue had already come out of seclusion. He knocked on the door and said, "Lord Yue, Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hall Master Zhou would like to invite you over." "Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hall Master Zhou? Who is that? Why should I go over?" Sima Yue's voice came from inside the house. She didn't show herself. That cold voice caused Ding San's face to darken. She actually looked down on the Heavenly Tiger Hall. "Who are you? Hurry up and come out," he roared. "Who do you think you are? You think you can make me come out just because you want me to? You think too highly of yourself," Sima Yue said. Zhua Ma was still in Sima Yue's house. Hearing her speak to the Heavenly Tiger Hall like that, her little heart thumped wildly. If she offended the Heavenly Tiger Hall, how would she be able to borrow the teleportation array from them? At this moment, her heart was filled with thoughts. If she offended the Heavenly Tiger Hall, what would happen to the Zhua family? Sima Yue had already learned about the Heavenly Tiger Hall on the way back to the Zhua family. She knew that they were always doing evil, and had a bad impression of them. Just now, Zhua Ma had hurriedly rushed over to tell her that the Heavenly Tiger Hall wanted her to leave because she was staying in the garden. She didn't have a good impression of them. She would leave just because they wanted her to? They really thought too highly of themselves. Didn't the Heavenly Tiger Hall have a high-ranked divine overlord? Even if his power was close to that of a divine emperor, he was only comparable to a late-stage third-rank sacred beast. Just because the Zhua family didn't dare to offend them didn't mean that she didn't dare to. Ding San was fuming with anger at Sima Yue's words. Ever since he joined the Heavenly Tiger Hall and followed Zhou Shuren, no one had dared to speak to him like that. This Sima Yue was too arrogant. In his anger, he immediately condensed his spiritual energy and attacked her door. He thought that he would be able to break the door and see what was inside. However, His spiritual energy was blocked by something at the door and was reflected back. Zhuo had been standing at the back from the start. When he saw his spiritual energy being reflected back, he quickly retreated. However, Ding San didn't react so quickly. He was hit by the reflected spiritual energy. Pung! Ding San was sent flying to the entrance of the courtyard, his limbs in the air. You don't have the right to see me. Go back and call your master. Sima Yuyua's voice sounded out. Chapter 438. Third Ding crawled up from the ground and wanted to attack again. Zhuo hurriedly went forward and said, Lord Third Ding, it's best that you don't attack. There's an array here. If you attack again, it will only attack you. Third Ding's spirit power paused, and his expression turned ugly. There's a formation master inside. That's right, it's an array master. You see, the spiritual power that was bounced back just now is the effect of the array master. Zhuo's face was serious, but he was laughing in his heart. Who told you to flaunt your strength all the time? Now you've kicked an iron plate, haven't you? There was no array master in the entire Heavenly Tiger Ridge. You still dare to provoke an array master? Do you have nothing better to do? Serves you right. Scram! Sima Yuyua's voice rang out again. Third Ding was filled with anger, but he did not dare to vent it out. He could only grit his teeth and leave dejectedly. After they left, Sima Yuyua said to Zhuoma, You should go back first. Zhuoma was a little worried, but seeing Sima Yuyua's unquestionable expression, she nodded and said, That Zhou Shuren may not be strong, but he is a relative of the Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hall Master. His position in the Heavenly Tiger Hall is not ordinary. I got it. Sima Yuyua nodded. Zhuoma wanted to say something, but seeing Sima Yuyua's indifferent expression, she swallowed her words and said, Then I'll go back first. Sima Yuyua looked at Zhuoma's gloomy eyes and sighed in her heart. However, she did not say anything and let her leave. Yuyu, I really didn't think that you would be able to attract a peach blossom debt like this. Little Roar appeared in her embrace and sneered. The spirit pagoda couldn't be opened yet, so Little Rock and the others couldn't come out. Because Little Roar had a soul contract with her, he was able to come out these 2 days. Sima Yuyua saw that even Little Roar could come out, and guessed that the day when the spirit pagoda would be open was not far away. She rubbed her brows and said, I didn't know it would be like this. I'm such a nice little girl. I originally wanted to wait for the spirit pagoda to open before leaving, but it seems like I have to leave early now. Actually, since I was able to come out, the time for the spirit pagoda to open shouldn't be too long. Little Roar said, However, going from the outer regions to the inner regions is too troublesome. I don't know where to go in. We can only go to a bigger place to take a look. Sima Yuyua said, Tianhu Ridge is considered a more backward place. In the past, we even said that we wanted to come to the outer regions to take a look. If only we were here back then. Little Roar was nestled in Sima Yuyua's embrace with his 4 paws facing the sky. He stretched out his short little legs and played with her long hair. Even if we came, it would be useless. The Heavenly Tiger Ridge is so small we wouldn't come, Sima Yuyua said. But at least we know where to go to the central region. Unlike now, I'm in the dark. We'll know when we ask. Sima Yuyua said. That's the only way. Little Roar imitated Sima Yuyua and sighed. Suddenly, his long ears moved and said, They're here. Sima Yuyua also felt that they were here, and placed Little Roar on the table. Then, she changed the position of the array stones in the house and added 2 more. Zhou Shuren's face darkened as he came to the upper park. Behind him were Ding San and Zhuoran. Just now, Ding San came out of the Zhuo residence in a sorry state. He did not bring along the person who dared to occupy the place he wanted to stay. Instead, he said that he was yelled at by the other party, and that he had to go see her personally. Someone actually dared to challenge his authority. He immediately brought his men and rushed in. Originally, he wanted to punish Sima Yuyua on the spot. However, he did not expect to find out that she was an array master. He was in a difficult position. An array master's status was extremely respected, It was no wonder that the Zhou family allowed her to stay in the upper park. However, he had already challenged her, and she even injured his men. He could not take this lying down. As the saying goes, you have to look at the owner before you hit the dog. If he did not care when his own dog was hit, how could he continue to stay in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge? How could he raise his head in front of the other hall masters? Hall master, it's here. Ding San pointed at Sima Yuyua's room door and said, "There's an array here?" Zhou Shuren looked at the normal room door and looked at Ding San suspiciously. His gaze was unkind, as if he would teach him a lesson if he dared to lie to him. "Hall master, it's true. I was injured by this array just now." Ding San nodded and said with certainty. However, Zhou Shuren still did not believe it. How could there be an array that could reflect attacks? "Go and try," he ordered. "Hall master." Ding San looked at Zhou Shuren with a bitter face. Seeing that he was about to explode, he could only swallow his words and helplessly take a few steps forward. The Zhou family members all took a few steps back and distanced themselves from Ding San. Zhou Shuren also wanted to leave. However, if he left, wouldn't that mean that he believed their words? "Go," he ordered. Ding San saw that he had made up his mind and condensed a bit of spiritual energy to attack Sima Yuyua's door. The spiritual energy touched a layer of ripples in front of the door. As if it had bounced off a spring, it flew back in the direction it came from, and the attack power increased by several times. The moment Ding San attacked, he jumped to the side, and the spiritual energy that bounced back hit Zhou Shuren directly. Bang! Zhou Shuren was sent flying by the spiritual energy and landed at the door of the courtyard. "Ding San, I told you to try and you did as you pleased. You actually dared to use so much power. Cough cough, I'll chop you into pieces." Zhou Shuren cursed as he climbed up and glared at Ding San. "Hall master, when did I use so much power? You saw it. I only threw a bit of spiritual energy over." Ding San said aggrievedly, "It's this array that increased the power by 10 times. It has nothing to do with me." "It doesn't matter. Can't you just stand in front and block it? You actually dared to run away. You're really looking for death." Zhou Shuren scolded. "Hall master, I already said that it would bounce back. You were the one who didn't believe me." Ding San looked at his master pitifully. Under the latter's threatening gaze, his voice became softer and softer. "So noisy." Sima Yoyua's voice came from the house, and the courtyard immediately quieted down. Especially Ding San and Zhou Shuren. The two of them did not dare to speak. The other party's array was able to make them so embarrassed. What else could they use to clamor for the other party to give this place to them? Zhou Shuren glared fiercely at Zhou Ran. He did not know where the Zhou family had found this array master to be able to set up such a powerful array. Based on his understanding of the Heavenly Tiger Ridge, this person was definitely not from there. "I heard that you wanted me to scram and give you a place to stay?" Before Zhou Shuren and Zhou Shuren could speak, Sima Yuyua's voice came again. It was obvious that she was questioning them. Zhou Shuren did not dare to provoke Sima Yuyua now. However, the array was dead while the person was alive. They did not dare to touch her in the array. However, what if they brought her outside? Thinking of this, his lips curled into a cold smile. However, he said respectfully, "Grandmaster is here. How would I dare to act rashly? I heard that the Zhou family had an array master, and was afraid that the Zhou family would not be able to serve you well. I would like to invite you to the Heavenly Tiger Hall as a guest." Chapter 439. When the Zhou family heard Zhou Shuren's words, they could not help but twitch their lips. This person was really shameless. Just a moment ago, he was still clamoring for people to teach Sima Yue a lesson. In the blink of an eye, he was flattering her. "Invite me as a guest?" Sima Yue's voice could be heard. She seemed to be in disbelief, but at the same time, she wanted to see for herself. Hearing her tone, Zhou Shuren knew that there was hope. He quickly said, "Yes. Since Great Master has come to the Heavenly Tiger Ridge, The Heavenly Tiger Hall naturally has to play host to you. Please come over to our place and stay for a few days. I heard that the Heavenly Tiger Hall is the strongest power in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. I wanted to go and take a look too. I wanted to wait for the Zhua clan to pay their tribute and go take a look with them. If Great Master wants to go, there's no need to wait until it's time to pay tribute. You can do it now, Zhou Shuren said. I can bring Great Master to the Heavenly Tiger Hall. You? Aren't you here to investigate the affairs of the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Sima Yue asked curiously. Those matters can be put aside for now. Bringing Great Master to the Heavenly Tiger Hall is of utmost importance. There's no rush. I still have some matters to attend to in the next 2 days. You can go and settle your matters first. After 2 days, we will leave for the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Sima Yue said. Zhou Shuren hesitated. What if Sima Yue ran away in the next 2 days? Creak. The door opened and Sima Yue walked out. Zhou Shuren found it hard to believe that the so-called array master was such a young lad. Hall Master Zhou, you can rest assured and handle your matters. I will be at the Zhua clan for the next 2 days. 2 days later, I'll have to trouble you to bring me around the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Sima Yue said, Is 2 days enough time? Enough. I'll come back in 2 days, Zhou Shuren replied. Goodbye. He bowed to Sima Yue and left with his men. Although he wanted to leave with Sima Yue immediately, he felt that he could not make it too obvious. If she found out and did not want to leave with him, it would be troublesome. After exiting the Zhua residence, Zhou Shuren immediately instructed, You two stay here and guard her. Make sure she doesn't leave. Hall Master, are we really bringing him to the Heavenly Tiger Hall? The coachman asked. How is this possible? Third Ding knocked on the coachman's head and said, That person is currently in the array, and we can't do anything to her. When she comes out of the array, wouldn't she be at our mercy? Oh, I see. The coachman nodded in understanding. Both of you keep an eye on him. Don't let anything go wrong. If I can't find him in 2 days, I'll hold the two of you responsible. After Zhou Shuren finished speaking, he got on his beast carriage and let the coachman drive the carriage away. After Zhou Shuren left, Zhua Ran looked at Sima Yue worriedly and said, I'm really sorry. We didn't know that Zhou Shuren would come here. This has nothing to do with you. Don't blame yourself. Sima Yue said. Yue, do you really want to go to the Heavenly Tiger Hall with them? Zhua Ma asked. Sima Yue nodded. Yue, this Zhou Shuren is a narrow-minded person. You've offended him this time. If you leave with him, I'm afraid you'll be in danger. If you want to go to the big city, why don't you wait until it's time for us to pay our tribute? Zhua Ran disagreed. There's no need. If I don't leave, the Heavenly Tiger Hall won't let you off. Sima Yue said. Moreover, I want to go out and gather some information. All right then. Hearing Sima Yue say this, Zhua Ran and the rest didn't insist. In these 2 days, Sima Yue set up a defensive array for the Zhua residence. Of course, she had to pay for it. It wasn't easy for the Zhua family to meet an array master, and one with such high attainments. They naturally had to grab hold of this opportunity. Although it was expensive, they had to borrow money to get it. Otherwise, if she left, where would they go to find another array master? Sima Yue was willing to wait for another 2 days to see if there were any changes to the spirit pagoda. If Little Roar could come out, then the other contracted beasts should be coming out soon. Moreover, she and the spirit pagoda were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. There should be a huge change in the next 2 days. Sure enough, after 2 days, she was able to summon all her contracted beasts. With Chongming and the rest, she had the confidence to go deep into the tiger's den. Once the 2 days were up, Zhou Shuren came to the Zhua residence. He found out from his subordinates that Sima Yue hadn't left the Zhua residence at all. Only then did he relax. Sima Yue carried Little Roar out of the Zhua residence. The moment she stepped out, she saw Zhou Shuren's flattering face. She bid farewell to Zhua Ran and the rest and entered Zhou Shuren's carriage. Zhou Shuren followed in and closed the door. The coachman drove the carriage away. Hall Master Zhou, you are a hall master. How come you don't even have a flying beast? Sima Yue said as she reached out and patted little Roar's back. Great Master, you may not know this. Beast tamers are very rare. We haven't had a beast tamer here for a long time. Therefore, only the previous hall masters had flying beasts. Although Zhou Shuren was unhappy, he still explained with a smile. Originally, the hall had one. However, I wasn't in a rush when I came out, so I didn't take a flying beast. 2 days isn't enough for me to rush back. Sima Yue's mind turned. It had been a long time since a beast tamer had come here. Were there too few beast tamers on this continent? Or was this place too remote? How long does it take to get to Heavenly Tiger Hall from here? About 20 days. Sima Yue's hands trembled. 20 days. The people above really had long lives. They weren't afraid of wasting time. She didn't want to waste so much time. Moreover, she didn't think that Zhou Shuren would give her such a long time. He was still respectful towards her now, because he hadn't found out her true strength. She guessed that he would make a move on her soon. Just as she had guessed, Zhou Shuren had been using chatting as an excuse to get information from her. However, she didn't say anything. Instead, she went along with his questions and told him about herself. Something about how she came up from the continent below, and how she had not recovered from her injuries. Zhou Shuren saw that she wasn't lying. After knowing her true strength, he was elated. Since she came up from the continent below, it meant that she didn't have a strong background. If he killed her, it wouldn't bring about any trouble. Since she had not recovered from her injuries, it meant that she didn't have any other combat abilities other than formations. As long as he didn't let her set up any formations, it would be fine. They walked for 7 to 8 days. After Zhou Shuren confirmed that Sima Yue really didn't have any combat abilities, he finally revealed his true identity. At that time, they were resting in a valley. Zhou Shuren asked his 3 subordinates to surround Sima Yue. He looked ferocious and planned to kill her. Sima Yue didn't panic. She smiled and said, I thought that you would make your move after leaving the Zhou family for 2 to 3 days. I didn't expect you to be so cautious and wait for so many days. However, I need these few days to prepare myself. Thank you so much. Chapter 440. Zhou Shuren felt that Sima Yue's words had a hidden meaning, but he could not figure out what was wrong with this scene. Shouldn't she be afraid of being surrounded by 3 God-ranked experts? How could she still smile so calmly? And what did she mean by that? Why should she thank him for giving her so many days? Could it be that she still had some sort of trump card? Since he couldn't figure it out, Zhou Shuren decided not to think about it anymore. In any case, the arrow was already knocked on the bow, and he had no choice but to release it. Go kill her for me, he ordered. 2 of Ding San's group of 3 were elementary god kings, and 1 was an intermediate god king. If they wanted to deal with an elementary god king, this should be a battle without any suspense. However, the 3 of them hadn't even started to move yet. What was going on with the people who appeared out of nowhere in the valley? Oh my god, after being trapped for so long, I can finally see the outside world. Fatty Chu stretched lazily and sighed comfortably. I haven't seen Yue for so long. I miss you. Are these people from the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Bei Gongtang looked at Zhou Shuren and the others, her eyes filled with undisguised killing intent. They already knew what Sima Yue had been through the contract beasts in the Spirit Pagoda. They also knew that Zhou Shuren wanted to kill Sima Yue, so they surrounded them as soon as they came out. Who are you people? Zhou Shuren was shocked when he saw Wei Ziqi and the others. Did these people appear out of thin air? It was impossible for her to transform into a living person, which meant that Sima Yue had something that could contain a living person. What a treasure! If he could reach it. Seeing the greed in Zhou Shuren's eyes, Sima Yue said, I've learned everything I need to know. They're useless now. Then let's end this quickly. Sima Yulin said. Sima Yuming and the others immediately acted. They wanted to kill their precious little brother. They were really looking for death. Even though there were only 4 of them, the presence of an intermediate god king was enough to suppress them. That was why Sima Yule and the others all went up. Although they had not yet advanced to the rank of Divine King, they had absorbed quite a few spirit stones in the Spirit Pagoda, which was the spirit energy from the rare crystals. They were not far from advancing in rank, and their battle prowess was not too far off. Ding San and the rest had always relied on the name of the Heavenly Tiger Hall to intimidate others. Their strength was all a facade, and their battle prowess was not strong. Now that they suddenly saw more people, they were mentally subdued. For people were besieged by 11 people, and they were quickly defeated. Sima Yue did not give them a chance to speak. She immediately killed the 4 of them, and turned them into ashes with her flames. After cleaning up the fleas, everyone was finally in the mood to talk to Sima Yue. Sima Lai came to Sima Yue's side and put his hand on her shoulder. He looked her up and down and asked, "Yue, are you okay?" Sima Yue shook her head. "Grandpa, I'm fine. Have all your injuries healed?" Sima Lai asked worriedly. "They're all healed. Look, the Spirit Pagoda has returned to normal. This means that I'm fine." Sima Yue waved her hands, showing that she was really fine. "Fifth bro, don't think that we're long-winded. When you lost contact with the Spirit Pagoda, Grandpa was scared to death. He was worried that you had already. It was only when he saw that little roar and the others were here that he relaxed." Sima Yuran said, "That's right. When we saw that you couldn't even contact your contracted beasts, we knew that you must have been seriously injured. If we don't see you recover with our own eyes, we won't be at ease." Sima Yuming said. Sima Yue naturally understood how they felt. She also proved to them that she had completely recovered, so they no longer asked about her injuries. "Right, Yue, where are we?" Fatty Chu asked. Sima Yue told them about the situation in the primordial lands, and the group of people's faces immediately turned bitter. "So you're saying that life in the primordial lands is worse than life in the primordial lands?" Sima Yue sighed. They couldn't fly in the sky, couldn't use teleportation arrays, and couldn't even contract spirit beasts. It was much worse than the continent below. Heavenly Tiger Ridge belongs to the Southern Seven State. "Beigong, do you know this place?" Sima Yue asked. "That's right. Beigong, your family is in the outer regions. You should be more familiar with the outer regions, right?" Fatty Chu said. Beigong Tang shook her head, saying, "I've heard of the Southern Seven State, but I've only heard my family mention it once." "Where is your family?" Wei Ziqi asked. "My family is in the central region. It's the largest region in the outer regions. There are 10 large regions in the outer regions. Northern 7 State, Northern 5 Seas, Eastern 3 Provinces, Eastern 10 Hills, Western Desert, Western Desolation, Southern 7 State, Southern 1,000 Peaks, Central Region and Central State." Sima Yue said, "Every region has countless other regions. The primordial lands is really big. It's just the outer regions, but it's already so big." Fatty Chu sighed. "That's right. We want to go to the central regions. Looks like we have to go to the larger regions first." Wei Ziqi said. Sima Yue looked at Beigong Tang, saying, "Why don't we go to the central region first?" Beigong Tang's body stiffened. Were they going back? Ever since she left, she had always wanted to go back. But now that she was really here, she was a little afraid. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to see her mother and younger brother. If that happened, she didn't know what would happen to her. Sima Yue patted her shoulder, saying, "Don't be afraid. We'll be with you." Beigong Tang saw the encouragement in Sima Yue's eyes and nodded, saying, "Then let's go to the central region first." If her mother and the others were still here, she would save them and take revenge on the people who attacked them. If they were no longer here, then she would definitely destroy the entire Beigong family. "Then let's go to the Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hong City first." Sima Yue called out Little Rock. She also called out Ouyang Fei's companions, Sang Mu Yu and Little Tuesday. Since everyone was out, it would be boring if it was just the 2 of them. Hong City was similar to a provincial capital. It was the largest city in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. It was said that most of the people in the city were from the Heavenly Tiger Hall. However, they were considered outer disciples. Only inner disciples had the right to live in the Heavenly Tiger Hall, and those who didn't belong to the Heavenly Tiger Hall had to pay a protection fee like the other clans if they wanted to live here. Only after paying the protection fee could they open their doors and do business in the city. Sima Yue and the others had already been in Hong City for 2 days. The moment they entered, they felt that the atmosphere in the city was a little strange. The people on the streets looked at them strangely, as if they were surprised that they would come here. They found an inn and wanted to stay for a while. But before they could say anything to the innkeeper, a group of uniformed men rushed in. Every one of them looked like hooligans. When they saw Sima Yue and the others, they walked over with their noses in the air and asked with disdain, "Are you the people who just entered the city? You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."